Oh, wow. Look who's back again. Ben and Woods, 97.3 The Fan. Let's get our heads right on a Friday. Great to be here with all of you that are listening. Thank you for being here all week. It's been a lot of fun. It has been a lot of fun. This is our final day out at spring training this morning. Wanted to thank both of my compatriots here for a phenomenal trip. You guys are incredible at what you do, both of you. That's Ben Higgins to my right. He is your friendly neighborhood sports anchor. Great job this week, Benny.
Thank you, Woodsy. I'm a little sad because as I was driving into the complex this morning, I realized it probably won't be here until at least 11 more months, until maybe fantasy camp next year. And it's like, wow, it went fast. We were here twice in a month, and now say goodbye to it for another year. Yeah, there's really no reason to come back out here, after it's over until fantasy camp next year. I think that's the Peoria Tourism Department slogan. There's really no other reason to come out here.
Holy crap.
There's really no other reason to come out here.
Peoria, 2 days is enough. Twice a year is plenty. Out here in Peoria.
Don't overstay your welcome.
Yeah, for real. To Betty's right is the great Paul Reindl, executive producer of the program. Good morning, Paulie.
Hey, how are you?
Doing great?
Yeah, I said the same thing the other night, Benny. Woodsy and I were grabbing some dinner, and I just said, God, it's wild. I mean, we were just here like 3 weeks ago. And then we come back out for spring training, and then just gone for another year.
That's it. That is it, man. It all goes quickly.
I do think about some of our friends who work here year round inside the Padres facility, because even though the major leaguers will be gone in a few weeks and the season will start, this place is actually 12 months a year. Whether it's minor leaguers, guys coming in on rehab, there's always some activity here. It's not open to the public, obviously, all year long, but there are staffers who are based out of Arizona, and they work all year long for the Padres, but they remain here in Peoria.
There are so many like 17 and 18-year-old kids that this is their job.
Yeah,
their 9 to 5 is showing up to the Peoria Sports Complex 6-7 days a week and working out and taking grounders and hitting in the cages.
Sounds like a great gig if you can get it. It's a great gig if you can get it.
Why didn't I do that?
I know. Why didn't I do that too? It wasn't good enough, certainly, but. Man, it's been a hell of a week. There's no question. I've had a really good experience out here. Oh no.
Oh boy.
Yeah, except for that just now. Everything's fine. I'm good. Everything's fine.
Jump in.
No, I don't need any. Heimlich or anything. No. I had that last time I was here. But man, it's been great. It's always fun to go on the road with my guys here. And I did a live stream last night that was a little heavy, to be honest with you, and just thankful for both of you guys for. Being there for me, as always. But it's been fun. Now, I do want to ask the question. All right, listen. Nobody say anything, and just everyone listen. You know what you hear?
I can hear the 101 Loop Freeway in the distance.
Yeah, cars whirring by, whizzing by. It is.
You guys all fired up for the show this morning?
It is as dead. As dead,
it is quiet here. It's
be.
Actually
eerily quiet.
There is one security guard as we walked in, and I've not seen another soul yet this morning.
Nor have I. And I just want to ask the question. I'm just asking the question. Why didn't we do this from our house, our Airbnb, where it's warm, it's indoor, it's cozy. There's a crushed green velvet chairs and couches. We could have cuddled up on the couch and blanket, made breakfast. Why are we here right now?
Well, I can give you a couple of logical reasons.
Okay, and then give me the real one.
The logical reason would be, even though it's quiet now, hopefully by the end of the show, there is some activity going on here. The major leaguers don't have to show up until this afternoon because they have a game tonight against the Mariners at the stadium over there. So they get a late start. But there will be, as you said, minor leaguers, there'll be activity and hubbub, and some coaches may come by, and who knows what we could be missing if we weren't here. Secondly, I believe checkout time at our Airbnb is 10 a.m. Mountain, which means we would have had to have left 3 hours into the show to allow whoever the next people who are going to be moving in and the cleaning staff.
Annie and Elston could have done an extra hour early from the Airbnb.
We couldn't have stayed at our Airbnb for the entire 4 hours, but honestly, we're kind of here for To say we're here.
Give me
I
the
know.
real reason.
We're to say we're here. We're live at the Peoria Sports Complex, which, if you're back in San Diego and you don't know any better, you might think would be an important thing this morning for the flagship radio station if it wasn't for you sitting here telling everybody
That it
how
wasn't.
quiet it is. We could pretend with Theater of the Mind.
All right, yeah,
Hey,
all right,
we got activity going on in the fields here.
Ethan, good luck, buddy. Have a good session in the cage. Yeah. Thank you, Frankie. Thank you, Frankie. Paulie and I had a great, probably my best customer service experience. We had the best customer service experience of our lives this morning. I'm going to tell you about it. As you know, like I chewed tobacco for a long, long time and am quit chewing tobacco. And so I used the nicotine pouches, the Zyn, to get me through so that I'm not homicidal, because I'll be honest with you, and I think a lot of you guys can relate. I painfully addicted
It's
to
an addiction. There are withdrawal symptoms and everything if you try to stop.
Well, and you're also talking to someone that eats pens for breakfast. Like, I have a serious oral fixation. Anybody that knows me knows that. So the Zins actually they save me, really. And I'm not promoting them. I'm not telling everybody how great they are. I'm just telling you, like, a lot of people use nicotine pouches. A lot of people use the nicotine gum, whatever. I don't like either of those. So I go with the Zins. Now, in California, they have banned every flavor except for cardboard. That's the only flavor you can get is cardboard.
It's an odd flavor.
It is odd. It's very strange.
A mix of chalk.
You put it in, you're like, it doesn't taste like anything. It's terrible. Now, I get it. You don't want to market to little kids, so you can't have all the flavors and everything else.
Discourage that.
Now, Arizona doesn't care. They don't care about little kids. They could care less. They're like
The Wild West.
We'll sell it. Paulie and I probably could have bought a Colt 45 at that Circle K if we really asked. Well, the guy out front was probably selling something illegal too that we saw. But so we walk in, and there was no one there. It was just me and Paulie and these two ladies behind the counter. And I said, she goes, "What can I get you boys?"
It's always kind of awkward when we're out here and we try to stock up.
Yeah.
Because you're like, I can't really tell exactly how much you have. You're like,
Yes.
I'll just 5 of those. Do you have 5?
You have 5? She goes, she kind of like looked around. She's like, "You boys tell me what you need." And I go, I'm going to get like, do you have, and she goes,
She talked like Randy Jones.
She did. She goes, "Quit looking at the shelf and tell me what you need." And I go, "Oh, okay." So she goes, "Lay it on me." And I go, "All right, I'm going to do 3 rolls of cinnamon Zin 3s, please." And she goes, "All right, hang on." And I go, "Oh, I also want some spearmint 3. She goes, "No problem." Paulie gave his order. She disappears into the back. She comes out, Ben, with, I think Paulie got a picture of it.
Yeah.
A trough, a giant trough,
like box
of
basket.
Zins. And she goes, she's like, "All right, start digging." So she started digging through. She pulls them all out, gets us everything we asked for. And she's like, I told you. You don't need to worry about the shelves, all right? You just tell me what you need." And I go, "Well, you're amazing. You're incredible."
So I love you.
I love you.
So you're saying they have some smart, enterprising business people who realize we're going to have a lot of California tourists
100%.
over the next few weeks.
Yeah.
And let's be stocked up because this is something that they can't get back home that they can get here. So let's be ready for them.
Well, the funny part is you cross into Arizona, Yuma, right? So you get in and you're at Yuma, and there's a gas station there. We stopped by there on the way to, let's get our first batch of flavored Zins. And I'm like, "All right, give me 14 of these and 7 of those." And she's like, 5 per person. So many people were coming over from California into Yuma, making the drive, picking up a bunch and taking it back. I don't know why you still wouldn't want to sell it.
Well, you do, but you don't want angry people coming after you.
Angry locals
who aren't going to have, exactly.
Yeah, angry locals and whatever. But let me tell you, if everybody exhibited the amount, she should be running a bank with her customer service. She's selling herself short working at Circle K. She was that good at customer service.
I'm glad you had the good experience because
There's a Cadillac dealership across the street from that.
Go
Circle
sell
K.
those.
She should be selling caddies.
There's no question.
I am a 49-year-old man, and I still hate having to ask for something that's behind the counter
I
when
know.
I go. If it's not really out and available, I'll probably just skip it.
Like Penthouse Letters, when you go and you want your latest Penthouse Letters or cherry.
Prophylactics.
Yeah, prophylactics.
Everything that's behind the counter. No, someone asked me can you pick me up a pack of cigarettes? I was like on my way somewhere. I'm not a smoker, but so I've never had to ask for cigarettes.
This was
in my
not.
life.
That was not me. I
know
not
it wasn't.
ask
No,
you.
it wasn't you. It wasn't you. But I did it, and like I felt so awkward having to ask for something behind the counter. Like I'm not a person who usually asks for things that are behind the counter.
I bet he qualified it too by saying, I've actually never asked for cigarettes. These are not for me. I'm not disgusting. So could I just have a pack of Marlboro Lights?
I'm sure the guy who's working back there really cares.
He doesn't. I'll tell you that right now. He absolutely does.
Hi,
not.
I'd like to order one nicotine pouch.
One nicotine pouch.
How does this work?
And a Wii magazine, please. Yes. Yeah, that one. Yes, we OUI. So I mean, I love her. I would like to stop on the way out and like tip her. She was so good. Baby, don't even worry about it. Hey, you don't worry about looking at the shelves, baby. I got you in the bag. And brings that trough out, Paulie. Made my day.
It was awesome.
So I'm loaded up for a while. Probably make another stop actually on the way out of town. But yeah, dude, it was a really nice experience this morning.
All right, we will take a quick time out. Kelly's got some traffic for a Friday morning back in San Diego. Here, though, no traffic at all in front of us. It's remarkably quiet right now at the Peoria Sports Complex.
Fernando Tatis Jr. is running around nude out there.
Come back. We will set the menu. We do have at least one Padres guest, a pretty big one that we know of for sure, and we'll tell you about the rest of the program coming up on a Friday. End of the week with Ben and Woods. Had a really good trip, and we appreciate the Tier 1s. You've kind of been along here with us in spirit on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Levitt, who's not here. He's probably still back at his place this morning since, late start for him today. Just sent us like a photo album of our last 2 days here. Pictures of us with Manny,
So
with
nice.
Michael King, Luisa Rise, Ruben Niebla. We really did have a spectacular couple of days here talking to just about everybody.
It's an all-timer, man.
I mean, there maybe, we didn't get to talk to Fernando Tatis Jr. again. Which is okay. He had the flu and he's recovering, and and for some reason we've just kind of missed him the last
17 years. Yeah.
or 4 years at least.
I said on the live stream last night, the last time we talked to Fernando Tatis Jr., I had one child. Just one child. So my son Taylor was not even born yet. So it's kind of funny, but hey man, look, Hannah, my wife was asking me too. She said, which of the guys like in the starting lineup did you miss? And I kind of went through it, and I said, well, we missed all the catchers.
Correct.
Missed all the catchers.
I didn't see Brett Sullivan.
I saw him for 2 seconds yesterday,
We've
and I
seen
wanted
Campy a couple of times walking in.
I talked to Campy yesterday. Can I say this about Luis Camposano? He walked by me. He walked by me, and he was leaving for the day. We were all packed up. This was late. He left the complex late. Everyone else was gone. And he walked by. I go, Campy, how you doing? He goes, I'm great. And I said, how's the body? He said, feels awesome. And I said, great. And then he walked by, and I go, oh, he's the best smelling human that I have ever smelled in my entire life. And I go, Paulie, smell it. He goes, Paulie goes, oh, dude, I can smell. He was all the way in the parking lot. I go, what the hell is he wearing? He smells amazing. Like I've never smelled someone, male or female, that smelled as good as Luis Camposano did yesterday.
That's probably important for catchers, given they have to wear the most gear. So you're going to be the sweatiest. You're closest to other people on the diamond. You got the umpire right up
on you,
you the whole game. The batters come up. Every single one comes and sees you over the course of the game.
They don't
smell you, but they're close.
But like you're not picking up their scent.
Probably not, but the umpire is really close.
The umpire is right. He's like right in your ear. You be the catcher. I'll be the umpire.
Can you imagine if you were a bad smelling umpire, how miserable that would be?
So gnarly.
Catcher,
strike. So gnarly. So we saw Campy. So I was going through the starting lineup, and I went, all right. We talked to the first baseman, Luisa Rise, which was a highlight of the week for me. We talked to the second baseman, Jake Cronenworth. We talked to the third baseman, Manny Machado. We did not talk to Xander Bogaerts. He did fake phone call us on the first day. I only saw him for a brief second on the second day. We talked to potentially the starting left fielder in Jason Hayward and Connor Joe.
Correct.
We talked to the center fielder, Jackson Merrill. We missed the right fielder, Fernando Tatis Jr. We talked to, of the pitchers, we did not talk to Yu Darvish, though I did say hello, shake his hand, give him the new Ben and Wood shirt. He was very appreciative of that. We talked to Michael King. We talked to Dylan Cease. We talked to Joe Musgrove. And we talked to Nick Pivetta, which you guys will hear today.
Talked to Kyle Hart.
Who could be in the rotation. So all in all, man, a really successful trip.
Yeah, we don't usually do the interviews that require a translator live.
Yeah,
those guys.
We don't do them unlive either.
No, but those guys absolutely. I will air them like on Channel 10, but then I'll take out their words and just put in the translated words. It's kind of difficult. You've seen Bob Scanlon do it after the game. Like a 1 or 2 question interview, it's okay. But if you're trying to talk to someone for 10 minutes on the air, having to go through the process of translating and then translating back is it's a little bit of a slog. So not that they don't have valid things to say. I'm sure you absolutely, and many of the players who are primarily Spanish speaking absolutely do.
I would love to talk to Yu Darvish on the show. He speaks pretty good English.
Does.
I saw he did an interview with Pitching Ninja, and he was talking about all the different pitches, and I was like, he would be great on our show, but I don't think he likes to do a lot of interviews in English, and I totally understand why. If anything can get mixed up, lost in translation or anything like that, that's very common. But
Yu also likes to make jokes, and it's sometimes harder to pick up. It's because he's a funny guy.
Well, you guys would be a great pair then with your jokes.
Yeah,
the two of you just firing jokes at each other. You're welcome.
So here's what we've got coming up on the program today. As I said, first hour is kind of quiet, but we will talk about Padres. Yesterday took on the A's. The pitching competition remains pretty even as you look at all the guys who are vying for the 5th starter's job. A lot of them have made good cases so far in spring training that they should be the guy. And yesterday it's Matt Waldron's turn to make that case, and he made a pretty good one as well. So I don't know if they're getting any clarity on this situation at all, but that's probably good news that they've got some options. Coming up in our 7 o'clock hour, had some big news from San Diego State yesterday as they get ready for a basketball game at Wyoming tomorrow involving Miles Bird. We'll talk a little bit about that. We'll bring back our regular features here on a Friday as well, as long as we have the time. Don't do this at 7:20, and we can play Take on Woods a little bit later. But we do have one interview at least for you at 7:35. We had a chance yesterday to sit down after the show for a good chunk of time with Nick Pivetta, new starting pitcher for the San Diego Padres. A good get-to-know-you session for Nick. Obviously the absolutely newest guy who just got here a week ago. I guess Wes Benjamin's technically the newest guy, but mostly the newest guy for the Padres. And we learned a lot about Nick and what he's going to bring to the table for the Padres.
Yeah, it was good. He's a really entertaining guy, and kind of had him laughing by the end. And man, I just can't thank you guys enough for listening this week. Your positive feedback has kept us going, and it's been great, man. The players this year have all been so good on the air. I've listened back to a couple of them. Very, very happy with how it's gone.
One thing we haven't really gotten a chance to dive into, because we've been talking with so many of the major leaguers, is what's been going on some of the minor league fields.
Yep.
Although, I mean, some of those guys have a chance to make the roster, roles in the bullpen, guys like Bradley Rodriguez. So our friends from Mad Friars are going to stop by in the 8 o'clock hour, 9 o'clock here in Arizona. David J. and Clark Farenthold are going to be here, and we're going to get an update on some of the other guys in camp that we haven't had a chance to look at quite as closely at around 8:35. And then in our 9 o'clock hour, Paulie's got to run the report, but at 9:35, there is another big story going on back in San Diego. Tomorrow, of course, is the big day, the first ever home game for San Diego FC, riding the momentum from Sunday's win over the LA Galaxy. And we're going to chat with the sporting director / general manager of San Diego FC, Tyler Heaps, is going to be with us for a few minutes, hyping up his team's game tomorrow against St. Louis City. It's expected to be a complete sellout at Snapdragon Stadium, a record crowd, the biggest crowd for any sporting event in Snapdragon Stadium history.
More than the Seals when we played there?
Even more than the Seals when
That's
you
crazy.
played there. Soccer fever seems to be ramping up in the city of San Diego, California, and tomorrow's going to be a big one. So we'll talk to the GM of SDFC, Tyler Heaps, at 9:35, and then we'll wrap things up here from Peoria and back on the 8 freeway, heading back to San Diego after the show.
We'll get home just in time for rush hour. So super
Friday. That's always.
It's always the case.
It's always the case.
It is always the case. But it's been awesome, man. I've had such a great time with you guys. Had such a great time with these players. Really, really, really looking forward to getting the season started. I mean, obviously, but more than I was after meeting and talking to a bunch of these dudes and hearing how everyone seems to be really in lockstep. For the first time in a while, out at spring training.
It's been a good spring. I mean, knock on wood, we haven't had a lot of things.
We still have a month left.
I know.
Are you insane?
Let's not go.
Are you a crazy person?
Remember what Winston Wolfe said? I can't believe this is the same car. Well, let's not go blanking each other's blanks just yet. All right, just let it breathe. We'll be all right.
We haven't seen the big top tents around here for at least a little while.
Yeah, true.
Other than the shade tent that we brought with us.
That's true.
All right, let's take a time out. We will come back. We'll talk about Padres yesterday against Athletics.
Don't say Athletics. Say the Sacramento A's.
That's what they want me to say.
Why would you give them what they want?
Rob Manfred called me and said, could you please just call them Athletics?
You know what we should do? We should call them the Oakland A's, because that's what they still call the San Diego Chargers.
Formerly known as.
You can call them whatever you want. And on the scoreboard, it'll just say
AF.
Thief. Padres and AF. Talk when we come back live from the Peoria Sports Complex. And I did see like 3 people during that segment. So there is some activity.
They were getting the mounds ready over there.
The mounds now on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Welcome back, Ben and Woods, 97.3, The Fan. Got a question in the chat, Benny, from Guy. Guy says, headed out there next week. Clue me in on the hot spots for food and beverage and, most importantly, adult entertainment. Now, food and beverage is probably more up my alley. The adult entertainment probably more up yours. Really like Grimaldi's pizza. Yeah, we had it last night. Grimaldi's was really good. Prepare, though, Guy. It's the longest DoorDash delivery time I've ever seen, and it was about 86 minutes. Worth it, though. It's really good. It's coal-fired pizza. It's yummy.
We finally figured it out. You have to order
before you're
way
hungry.
before you're
hungry. And by the time it got there, you were like, oh, yes.
Every time we thought about getting it, whether it was this week or last month, we did, that sounds good. I'm pretty hungry. Yeah, I could go for that.
Did you wait 3 hours?
2.5 hour wait. Like, yeah.
So that was really good. Benny found a place called shocking. I don't know what he was Googling, but he ended up finding a barbecue place. It's called Naked Q. So I don't know what you were actually Googling that popped up in your search engine, but you did find it.
It is on the way down to explicit if you're so inclined.
It's really good.
In Glendale near the stadium. It was very good. Here's my recommendation.
Ooh, what's the place with the meatballs?
Sicilian Butcher.
Sicilian Butcher,
Right.
which is also good.
That's
That's the
Glendale.
spot.
But here's my advice. Arizona is much more prolific with chain restaurants than even California. So if you're coming over for California and there's a chain or two that we don't have back in California, for instance, this morning for breakfast, I picked you up Whataburger.
Yeah,
which I mean is not some amazing culinary experience, but if you're hankering for something that you missed, like you live somewhere that had it, and they probably have it here, especially along Bell Road in Peoria. It's chain food heaven, and everyone has their favorite ones, so you're probably going to find what you're looking for, whether it's a Cheesecake Factory or a Texas Roadhouse. They have them all here. Now, they have those in California, but there are also chains that they don't have in California that are here as well.
They took our Chili's from us in Encinitas, and I lament it at least thrice a week. Hannah and I look at each other and go, how good would some chips and salsa and some chicken crispers from Chili's be? The kids would like it. Of course, they yanked it from us. So when I come out here, I want to get the stuff that I can't get in California anymore. Guy, there's tons. If you've never been out here before.
Zin and Chili's.
Yeah, Zin and Chili's and Whataburger, and I'm set.
But right in the parking lot now, I mean, it's chain, but North Italia is good. It's now in the literal parking lot of the Peoria Sports Complex. There's a couple of new restaurants as well, Blanco and Postino.
I haven't eaten there yet.
I have not. I've had North Italia back in San Diego. They have it in the Carmel Valley, One Paseo. They have a North Italia. I've eaten there. So, I mean, you can get them in San Diego, but they have it all here. Everything you can dream of.
Anything you want, man, is at your fingertips here, especially at Explicit. So check that out as well. They take good care of you in there. It's rarely has anyone there. But it's it's Peoria, Arizona, right? But the best part about being out here at spring training, obviously, is being around all the baseball, especially like all the baseball that you can hear in the background. Guys just ripping balls off the tee.
Yeah. Oh, the sounds of spring.
The sounds of spring, baby.
So nice.
Can't get enough.
Let's check traffic, and we will talk about yesterday's sounds of spring that did exist here in Arizona next on Ben and Woods.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury, here's Kelly Danick.
Start to see a little slow traffic developing in the usual spots, guys. At least no big surprises, except westbound 8 to the northbound 67 connector ramp. Looks like a vehicle may have taken that a little too quickly. Some guardrail damage thrown into that mix, so watch out for some activity there, west 8 at the northbound 67. We're also getting reports of a possible encampment fire near the Kenwood Drive off-ramp, eastbound King Freeway. Smoke visible from that right shoulder. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3, The Fan.
The Padres made the long road trip, their longest road trip of the spring, all the way down to Mesa and Hohokam, home of the Sacramento Athletics, for a game yesterday, which Matt Waldron started and had the longest outing yet of any pitcher at spring training for the San Diego Padres. He was sharp, went 3 innings. We didn't drive all the way down. That's a really long way. But he only allowed 1 hit, a walk, 2 strikeouts, and from everything I heard, the knuckleball was dancing.
Baby.
He threw about 70% knuckleballs. That has been the focus this spring with Matt Waldron. More knuckleballs. In fact, the Padres have told him They want to see at least half knuckleballs this season.
I think
So
more, actually.
it may be more. I mean,
I think it is
like
more.
like I said, he's at 70% during spring training so far.
If I'm not mistaken, didn't he throw last year about 63%?
I don't think it was that
Was it
high.
not that
I think it was more
high?
like 40%.
Okay.
I don't think he was even up to half knuckleballs.
Okay.
But what struck me, one of the conversations we had over the last couple of days was when Connor Joe sat down. And I think you asked him, like, who's been interesting to face? One of us asked him, like, who's been interesting on this team to face on the backfields? And I'm thinking he's going to say, oh, Michael King's nasty, or Dylan Cease and that velocity. I'm trying to guess, or is Robert Suarez? No. He said, Matt Waldron, we have heard so much around the league. I haven't faced him yet, but everyone is talking about that knuckleball, and it lived up to the hype. I couldn't hit it. The catcher couldn't catch it. There was no possibility. So, so far this spring, apparently the knuckleball has been pretty locked in, pretty impressive. Now, does that give Matt Waldron, in your mind, the edge in the fight for the fifth starter's job, at least to open the season for the Padres?
I mean, the fact that they let him go 3 innings, the fact that they have a plan for him and he seems to be executing it. I mean, I think that there's still a lot of camp left, right? And guys could separate themselves. Kyle Hart could absolutely go out and separate themselves. You're talking, there's a lot of guys that haven't even gotten in real game action yet. So I think the thing, with yesterday that jumped off the page to me was obviously that was first and foremost. Matty Waldron going 3 innings, 1 hit, struck out 2, getting a lot, getting swings and misses. But I think the thing that jumped out at me was Tom Cosgrove, who's just continuing to have a rough go of it. And I don't know. I don't know what is off with Tom Cosgrove. Gave up 4 runs yesterday. Again, it's spring. Ruben could have told him. We have no idea. Ruben could have said,
That's
Tom,
fair.
Go out there and I want you going 2-seamer sweeper. That's all I want you to
and
throw.
He'll be like, I'm not going to be able to get those guys out with those pitches. I know,
I
but we
don't
want you to
care.
work
I want
on
to
those.
see the shape. I want to see, so that's obviously something you have to take into account. Don't get too fired up about numbers, good or bad, like Forrest Wall hitting a home run for the 2nd straight day. I already saw people yesterday going, maybe he competes for the left field job with Jason Hayward and Tirso and some of the other guys. Look, maybe at the end of the day, but don't get too fired up, good or bad, about spring training.
Tom Cosgrove had such a good 2023 out of nowhere for the Padres, and then last season obviously didn't stick in the majors and was in the minors for much of the year. Sometimes relievers do that. They have good year, bad year, and you hope they bounce back. Seems clear that Tom Cosgrove has been in the funky delivery category.
Yeah.
Alec Jacob has kind of passed Tom Cosgrove on the depth chart, I think, for the San Diego Padres. Obviously, they throw from opposite sides, but they both have weird deliveries, and it's almost gimmicky. I mean, not knuckleball necessarily, but a bit of a gimmicky delivery that throws off the timings of hitters. And I would think the guy who has a much better chance now of making the Padres bullpen for that role, that kind of different look role, would be Alec Jacob at this point, who's been really impressive here in camp.
Well, and if you need a lefty out of the pen, you've got Wandy Peralta, you've got Yuki Matsui. I don't think those guys are going anywhere. No. So it's not like
Wandy. I have no idea what to expect. Everyone, I see fans on, Padres fans on social media going, throw Wandy into the sea and let's just move on. He's got 3 years left on his deal. Yeah. I know he can opt out. He didn't, obviously, because he had a bad year last year. But if you DFA him now, you're just on the hook for all 3 of those years, and then he can go and sign with another team. It's going to be tough to pull the plug on a veteran, experienced reliever, unless you truly think he is washed. Left-handed especially. Unless you truly think he is 100% washed, and then, all right, you just have to move on and wear it. Like that was a mistake signing by A.J. Preller. My guess would be that Wandy Peralta will still have a place on this team, at least to start the 2025 season.
Yeah, I agree with you. And, I think Yuki Matsui is going to have a better year than he did last year. I really do. And I know that there's some people that are really high on him.
He didn't have a terrible year last year.
He did not have a terrible year. It just it seemed like it, with the home runs and things like that. It just seemed like it. So I think he's going to have a better year. Had some people out talking about him yesterday. So, yeah, man, I mean, look, so far, they lost the game yesterday. Doesn't matter. A's are 4-1.
They did get runs early. I mean, it wasn't a A-team lineup that went, Luis Ariz went, but it was mostly, minor league type guys. But they did score their runs mostly early off the real pitchers. Luis Severino pitched 2, gave up a run. Jose Leclerc gave up 2 of them. They're both major league pitchers, at least. The Padres got some offense off of yesterday. Ooh, the Cisco delivery truck is here to restock the Padres dining room. Just some sort of safety feature, I'm sure, just to make sure you don't get run over. Or
I could listen to that all day.
Backup horn or something. That's nice. That's the sounds of baseball. It sounds of spring.
I could listen to that all day in my ear as I try to do a live radio show. Listen.
Thank you for that. Padres also got scoreless innings yesterday. Robert Suarez made his spring debut, and Jeremiah Estrada pitched a scoreless inning for the Padres yesterday. So, back to Matt Waldron and, how good he looked, but Randy Vasquez was my pick a few days ago as the guy I thought was my favorite to get the 5th starter's job. Stephen Kolek has looked great. He is definitely a guy they are considering strongly for that 5th starter's role. And as you mentioned, Kyle Hart hasn't even had a chance to pitch outside of backfield games. So, the competition remains very, very wide open. Johnny Brito pitched in relief, 2 innings. So they're stretching him out. I see him more still as a long man option, maybe in the bullpen than as the 5th starter for the Padres. But he's not out. He's not out of the running. He's another guy that they're still considering. And don't forget Ryan Bergert, who's yet to give up a run. Today we'll see Braden Nett make a start. Is otherwise going to be a very major league lineup tonight. Mike Shildt said he's planning to put most of the regulars in for tonight's game against the Seattle Mariners, which you can hear right here on 97.3 The Fan. I believe it's a 6:40 start. I don't know if that's Mountain Time or San Diego time, but
is it not 5:40 here?
6:40 here, 5:40 back in San Diego.
Wow,
but we will have it's Friday night, so we will have coverage for you of that game and Saturday and Sunday's games for you with Jesse and Tony here on 97.3 The Fan. Dylan Cease will make his Cactus League debut tomorrow.
Nice.
On the main game against the Reds, where Yu Darvish will pitch tomorrow in a B game against the White Sox, which means, kind of looking ahead,
Cease.
Probably not necessarily, but one of those 2 guys is going to be in line, if you kind of count it out, to likely be the opening day starter. But you can't just decide based on who's in the A game and who's in the B game. Yu Darvish may want to work on the backfield. He could very well be the opening day starter. He's done it three times before. Dylan Cease would be a logical choice. I'm not saying Michael King is out of the running, but if I was a betting man, I would say now Cease and Darvish are much heavier favorites, one of them to be the opening day starter, but I'd still put it at even money between those 2.
Yeah, and I know this is one of your favorite games in spring training. Counting down, doing the logistics.
I hate it so much.
The game of, all right, let's look ahead 3 to 4 weeks to see. I know you love this game.
It doesn't really matter. As I said, after the first day, you're just all in the starting rotation.
That's it.
And
everyone's there.
Next turn up. Fernando Tatis Jr., who, again, is
opening day right fielder.
Opening day right fielder. If you project it out,
he's based on how the schedule looks. If you look ahead, he's starting tonight in right field. That probably means
he's
and he is. He's expected to return to the Cactus League tonight after the battle with the flu. He talked to Kevin Acee in the UT yesterday. There was a long piece about Fernando Tatis Jr. He did. And you know what? He said something that made me think of you.
Me?
Yes. In fact, it was something we talked about actually during our Gold member stream last night. Fernando said, just let me cook. Let him cook is what he wants.
That's it.
Just, the canvas is the baseball diamond, and he is ready. He feels healthier than he has since maybe 2021. He's going in. He feels his swing is already in a really good place.
Yep.
And he is primed. What he believes, and not just him, but people in the organization, observers in the media, think Fernando Tatis Jr. is primed for his best season. Now, a lot can happen between now and October. We thought he's been primed before, and he gets a stress reaction in his leg. But going into this year, he really hasn't been in such a good place before. If Fernando Tatis Jr. truly can give you 155 games at mostly full health and generally locked in with what he can do you think that he is a legitimate MVP type player?
No question.
Right? Yeah.
Zero. Zero question.
It's going to be tough to beat Shohei Ohtani. If he comes back and pitches and hits 50 bombs, it's going to be tough to beat him. But I feel like if there is a player in baseball who could out-impress Shohei Ohtani, it might be Fernando with his platinum glove ability, his power. You remember, he's already led the league in home runs once.
Sure.
Even with a bad shoulder, he had 42 home runs. What could he possibly do
Healthy.
with a full, healthy season? Could he be a guy who, 55, 60, like in the Aaron Judge type territory, if he really has an incredible year? I think he could be.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think, we haven't seen the ceiling of Fernando Tatis Jr. Now, what you would never want for any of these players is to be the guy with all of that promise, with all of those hopes, with that high ceiling that just can't stay on the field. And to this point, Fernando has played, he's played in a lot of games before. He has. It's not like he plays 60 games a season. He is capable of putting up gaudy, ridiculous numbers when healthy. So, that's my dream for him, man. That's my dream for Padres fans. Like, we deserve that. We deserve to see that, and he deserves it.
Again, we talked about, like, Manny looks really good.
Yeah, it looks
he looks really in shape. He looks like he bulked up. He talked yesterday to us about how healthy he feels. What does a fully healthy Manny Machado hitting behind a Fernando Tatis, who's also fully healthy? We've seen glimpses.
And I can hear eyes rolling in cars back home, listening on our YouTube stream, watching on our YouTube stream. This is the ultimate spring training talk. They look healthy. They're in such great shape. They're going to be locked in this year. What an incredible force and duo they're going to be. I do understand that it is a bit of a hope springs eternal, but it is also it's an absolutely realistic view. I mean, it would kind of be silly for us to say, yeah, Manny's going to suck this year. Tatis is going to suck this year. That doesn't make a lot of sense to say that right now. Well, they are in a better spot than either of them have been in recent years.
Well, it's not like you're coming in here saying, I think Brandon Lockridge is going to hit 35
right,
bombs. I mean,
exactly.
You let yourself dream on 30 bombs for Jackson Merrill. It's realistic. He was 6 away. You let yourself dream on Manny Machado for 40 bombs.
Right.
You let yourself
Manny's
dream.
going to give you 30 and 100.
30 and 100 is probably coming.
Can he give you 40
but
and 120?
He told you he wants to give you 40.
He did. He told me.
Said, I'd like to do that for you, Stephen Woods.
I would like him to do 40. That for me, too.
Never done it in my career,
That'd
but
be awesome.
he'd like to. That number is something that he wants. He wants another Gold Glove.
Yeah.
And he wants those things.
JoJo, hey, buddy. There's life, signs of life at the Peoria Sports Complex. You are it. Feel like giving a massage this morning? Or, I know you're not working for a while. I'll get right on the picnic table. Can you get my hammy, actually? My hammy is a little tight. Please, I got a game on Sunday.
This hour of Ben and Woods is brought to you by Robert Half. 9 out of 10 hiring managers are having difficulty hiring. Robert Half is there to help. They're recruiting professionals, utilizing award-winning AI to connect businesses with highly skilled talent. At Robert Half, they know talent. Visit roberthalf.com/talent today. Well, while Woods gets rubbed down on the very uncomfortable picnic table here, we will take a quick timeout for the top of the hour. We'll come back. Some big news from San Diego State, potentially about the basketball team's future. We'll get to that coming up next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Well,
Well,
it was quick but effective. JoJo got it done.
Your treatment's done already? Yeah.
He was rubbing my sartorius.
Yeah, I'm a little desperate for like tidbits of information. I am really trying to pump Jojo Tarantino. He's the director of medical services and information for the San Diego Padres. Works out of the spring training camp in Peoria. We see him every year, fantasy camp, and here he's going through like lab results right now just to make sure everybody's healthy. He said they do their like PSAs, Connor Joe.
Yeah.
Catch some testicular cancer early among players, make sure that everybody's getting, enough vitamins and everything. But I'm like asking him, like, is there what's the buzz? What's the scoop? What are the people talking about behind the scenes here? And he goes, I don't know. I'm just trying to get my job done. So I'm not getting anything.
Stop asking me questions.
I'm not getting anything out of anybody here this morning. I'm trying to do the hard hitting interviews for our tier ones and get the real lowdown, like, not just the dirt, the stuff they tell the media, but the stuff that they are really talking about behind the scenes. I'm getting nothing at all.
Yeah, man. I think that there's not a lot to give you because there's not a lot to say other than, kind of the feeling that we had is that everyone seems pretty locked in and focused on business, which is what JoJo just told me, man. These guys they come ready to work every day. And he said, hey, look, this is 22nd spring training, Ben. And he said, I can't always say that. He goes, there have been teams in the past that came in and thought, oh no, we got this. We're not going to have to, we're not going to have to do much to go out there and win the division. I think we all probably know which team he's talking about. And, that team is no more. And a lot of those guys aren't here anymore. And so I think this year the vibe is different. They brought in some veteran leadership. They have some good veteran leadership. And
we saw it was different last year.
Yeah,
it was already different last year. And they're carrying that over this year. So, in the absence of any good scoops, maybe we'll talk a little college basketball for a few minutes here. And I wanted to start by once again congratulating the UC San Diego Tritons, who won their 10th game in a row last night. Beat Cal State Northridge on the road, which is not an easy game. Cal State Northridge had won 7 in a row. In the Big West, they were hot, but UCSD cooled them down 77-71. That was actually the closest game the Tritons have played in more than a month. The first 9 games of the winning streak were all by double digits. This one was only by 6. They are now 25-4 on the season, 15-2 in the Big West, in first place, and projected as a 12 seed, but probably maybe even creeping up into that 11 potentially at-large category for the NCAA tournament. They're a bubble team even if they don't win the Big West tournament now. They've gotten themselves, and that's good. They've played themselves onto the bubble, which is good news for UCSD. The San Diego State Aztecs have at least temporarily played themselves off the bubble, which is also good news for San Diego State because they've moved from one of the last 4 teams in a lot of the brackets to one of the last 4 byes, or even kind of comfortably in the tournament for most bracketologists where they're not one of the last 8 teams in, which tells me even if they did stumble once in the last 3 regular season games, it might drop them down back toward the bubble again, but should still be an NCAA tournament team.
Sure.
Tomorrow they play at Wyoming, which altitude is always worrisome, over 7,000 feet.
Oh, boy.
It's a great story, by the way. So back in they played Wyoming for decades, and back in the 80s, Smokey Gaines was one of the legendary coaches at San Diego State. He didn't necessarily believe that much in the intelligence of his own players, and they were asking. Someone was asking him about the altitude going to play in Wyoming, and Smokey said, "Don't worry about that. They pressurize the arena like it's an airplane cabin,
Genius.
so you won't feel it when you're in there."
That's absolutely brilliant, and I can totally see college kids. What movie was that? It was Days of Thunder. Remember the movie Days of Thunder?
Yes.
Did you ever see it? Robert Duvall, Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise, race car movie.
So Duvall, he's never won a race, so he tells him in the last turn, he goes, "Listen, take it on the outside. I put on a special set of matched tires. You're going to be fine." It just gave him the confidence. So he does it. He wins the race. They interview me. He's like, "It's all because of the special tires he put on." And they're like, What special tires? So it's the same thing as Days of Thunder. That is brilliant, and I think coaches should lie to their players more about things like altitude and whatever. I thought that was brilliant.
They might be getting too smart nowadays because they can just Google that and go,
That's true.
You can't pressurize an entire basketball arena.
Like an airplane. You're fine. You're absolutely fine. That is beyond brilliant. Did it work?
I don't know if it works or not.
So good. Guys, don't worry. We have special oxygen tanks. You're going to be fine.
Smokey's also the coach of the legendary quote when one of his better players scored 1 point in a game. He goes, "That's one more point than a dead man."
That's true. That is true. And obviously the big news coming out yesterday. Fire away.
So, the Aztecs did just kind of a Thursday media session, and on his own, unprompted, Miles Byrd decided to deliver some news to the assembled media. Here's what Miles Byrd had to say yesterday to Aztecs fans.
I'm ruling out the same thing. If I'm going to come back, no portal for me. If I'm coming back to college, I'm coming back to SACU.
And so you just figure out the other stuff after.
I mean, maybe do pre-draft and stuff with my agency and see where that takes me and stuff. But, right now, all I care about is how we finish out this year and where we seed ourselves come March.
All right, so that was Miles Byrd announcing with no equivocation that he will not be entering the transfer portal. He will not be looking for NIL riches from an SEC or a Big Ten school, that if he is returning for college basketball for his junior season next year, he will do so at San Diego State. Now, he did say, he might dip a toe into the draft waters, and, you can do that now and then, pull your name out of the draft, but you can still go through the pre-draft camps and the workouts and get some evaluation from pro scouts. And there is talk that there are teams that might be interested in Miles Byrd, maybe like a second-round pick if he wants to do that. But there's also a lot of people who go, but if he comes back for one more year and has a really good season, he could be a lottery or at least a first-round pick next year. So there's probably a lot of things pushing Miles Byrd now back to San Diego State for another season next year.
I believe you did hear it here on the Fan first.
We did say that, but
Aztecs insider Stephen Woods.
Thank you very much. Just another one. Racking them up.
You did have that news for people a couple weeks ago.
I did.
But if you think about it, and again, in the world of NIL and potential, pro basketball, none of this is guaranteed. But right now, the Aztecs are trending to have Miles Byrd back. He's trying to encourage other guys to come back. But Nick Boyd, who's a senior but has one more year of eligibility, is also expected to return next year.
Run it back.
Reese Waters is applying for a medical red shirt and is expected to be back next year for San Diego State. He was the only preseason all-conference player they had this year. Didn't play a single game. Then you got Magoon Guath, who's injured right now. He will also probably at least be talking in pro circles. But if he comes back, then you've got the freshman, Farrell Compton, Taj DeGorville with more experience. Miles Heide, who is probably, I'd say, the most improved player from the start to the end of the season has been Miles Heide. His rebounding and offensive rebounding has been fantastic. He could be back.
My guess is you're not keeping all of those guys.
And then you can add the freshman redshirt, Thakbor Majak, the 7-footer, who is there as well. I mean, if you did get all of those guys back, that could be a scary good college basketball team next year.
That's a preseason top 25.
For sure. Maybe top
15.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, I don't know. San Diego State, so we'll see what the national media has to say. It doesn't really matter. To me, that's definitely a team that would have at least baseline Sweet 16 aspirations.
Wow. Yeah.
And then,
That'd be sick.
If things go right like they did a couple of years ago, who knows if another run to the Final Four could be possible. But this season is not over yet, and it's not like they can't still do something special this year as well. They are trending toward the NCAA tournament. Again, kind of a dangerous game, obviously. Remember Wyoming when they came to Viejas, that was one of the games that the Aztecs struggled to put away Wyoming for a very long time until they finally went on one of those. I don't remember who it was, the 18-0 run or the 17-0 run or the 20-0 run or whatever it was that they needed to come back and win that game. That's going to be a lot harder to do in the altitude of Wyoming if you let yourself fall way behind. So
not in a pressurized arena.
That's
it
a good
won't
point.
be.
Yeah.
It will not be difficult at all in a pressurized arena.
So dangerous game, but ultimately the Aztecs are playing better. Even without Magoon Guath, played one of their best games of the season in their last game in that win over New Mexico.
And expecting him back in Wyoming or no?
No, he's going to be out at least one more game, probably the rest of the regular season, which is next week as well. And then you could think about him coming back for the Mountain West tournament. Maybe if that last game against Nevada next Saturday would be the home finale and the last game of the regular season. But, Brian Dutcher is not going to rush him back. He always has the health, the well-being of his players is more important to him than even winning basketball games.
Sure.
And he can do that. He's Dutch, got plenty of job security. He can have this job if he wants for the rest of his life, just like Steve Fisher could, choose when he wanted to go. Brian Dutcher's got a contract extension, can do what he wants, and he's going to put his players first, which is why he gets good players in the first place. He gives them freedom. If they play defense, he gives them freedom elsewhere to become the best version of basketball players that they can become. Why he's a very beloved college basketball coach.
And some other big news on the Mesa, Benny. You saw this. My worlds colliding.
Don't know what it means.
Intersecting. Nor do I. Nor do I at all. But San Diego State is hiring Notre Dame Director of Recruiting Caleb Davis as its next general manager. A source tells On3 Sports. So
there's a picture of him with Marcus Freeman there, right?
That's not Marcus Freeman.
Oh, that isn't?
No, that's not Marcus
I'm getting
Freeman.
a lot of
glare.
So.
Yeah. But that is Caleb Davis.
That's him with the glasses.
With the glasses.
Okay.
Yep. And I got to tell you, I could talk about Caleb Davis all day long. I'm joking. I've never even heard of him. So all I know is I saw the headline and I went, wait, what?
Yeah,
what? But got to imagine big promotion.
Yeah, this is running as opposed to running recruiting. He's now running the whole program. And I don't know how that works. Is the GM under the head coach?
Yeah, I was going to ask.
Am I insane, or did the college GM team? This is brand new.
This is a brand new position in the world of NIL. Hiring a general manager is now a new thing in college sports. And we've seen a lot of teams doing it the last 2 or 3 years. Now San Diego State's joining the party.
Notre Dame lost theirs to USC, and he was a really big get for USC. They gave him a ton of dough.
I would think the head coach is still kind of the top of the food chain, and then the GM's kind of under the head coach. But
the head coach typically would do everything that the GMs are now doing.
Yes, it's taking some of the work off the plate of the head coach. Well, there's just much more work to do in NIL. So this is a guy who's going to be, and if you had the experience at Notre Dame to be recruiting players that were good enough to make it to a national championship game and help that, figure he's doing something right.
No doubt. I do think, in professional sports, take the Padres, for example. There are calls that are Mike Shildt, and there are calls that are AJ Prellers. There are calls that they kind of work together on. But ultimately, I think if AJ Preller has a direction he wants to go,
that's what he does.
He doesn't have to ask permission,
right?
For at least from the coaching staff. Whereas in collegiate sports, kind of probably the opposite.
No, I think it's
the head coach.
I think it's a good get for the Aztecs because of the tutelage of Marcus Freeman. It trickles down, and and hopefully he can help land them some good recruits because they desperately need it. There needs to be more of a fervor for SDSU football because watching it last year and really in the last few years, Benny, it's been a very, very tough watch.
And to Paulie's point about the Padres structure, we even got a little bit of honesty from Ruben Niebla when he sat down this week. I asked him, how do you decide on that fifth starter? And he kind of said, well, we'll all talk. And then AJ, he'll have his opinion too. And if AJ has a strong feeling about something, that's kind of the way that they go. Now, AJ is as collaborative, I think, as it gets when it comes to GMs. But ultimately, he's going to set the direction of the organization.
Who's the general manager of this show?
Ooh. That would be you.
Who's the manager?
That would be me.
Yeah. Paulie, what are you?
I don't know.
He's the vice president of radio operations.
That's true. You are definitely VP. You did get the presidential suite,
which in some ways
week,
is above both of us.
It kind of is. Yeah. Paulie does ultimately have he does push the buttons. If he is tired of your BS, he can literally just turn your mic on.
Making you guys look really ugly in all our graphics. And...
What do you mean start to make me look ugly in graphics? Are you kidding? Jeez.
All right, let's take
change our audio level.
Yeah, we'll come back. Don't do this. We took a couple of days off with all the stuff, but we got some time today. How about a very public confrontation between NFL insiders in the line at Starbucks. What was that all about?
And I've got a beautiful, beautiful do this story on a Friday.
All that after a check of traffic with Kelly on 97.3 The Fan. Got our interview with Nick Pivetta coming up at the bottom of the hour. First, though, Don't Do This is brought to you by Trust and Will. Don't leave your entire estate, house, kids, and life savings up to chance if and when you die. Do set up a Trust and Will online at trustandwill.com. This is a lot more affordable than you think. Visit trustandwill.com for more info. Why are you looking at me like that?
I see what you did there. Very clever.
I actually didn't do it. Adam did it. And then there was like a series of 9 emails to try to make that one word happen. With this is a lot more affordable than you think. Don't do this.
That was an Adam idea.
That was an Adam idea.
That caused like a long
email chain,
and like
yesterday.
a fire and like an
phone
unnecessary firestorm.
A phone call, several emails, some work orders being put into the system.
Hey.
To add one word there. Does everyone think it was worth it? Don't do this.
Again, that was an Adam Klug idea.
Yeah.
Just so.
Yeah.
Again, that caused an unnecessary firestorm of emails and stuff.
Call it a fire.
Go.
It was a flurry.
Blake, yourself.
I'm going to call it a flurry of emails, not a firestorm, just a flurry.
Mind your business. I swear to God. I swear to God. I swear to God. Holy cow. All right, well, this is the story that got us on Howard Stern, so I'm just going to pound it into the ground, I guess. The new statement from Ravens kicker Justin Tucker.
Oh, God.
He is still denying the allegations of inappropriate sexual behavior from 17 massage therapists in the Baltimore area, but for the first time, he has also issued an apology. This is kind of odd.
Wait, an apology for what? If he's denying that he's doing it.
So it says, I maintain I did not act inappropriately at any point before, during, or after a professional bodywork treatment session, nor have I ever been told I am unwelcome at any massage therapy provider. These claims are simply not true. It devastates me to know that anyone I have worked with would not have felt respected and valued as a professional, but more importantly, as a person. And to anyone who has felt otherwise, I am sorry.
It's tough to go with both righteous indignation and sincere regret at the same time.
That's really the don't do this. I mean, if you're, it's a poor. I learned this recently a few years ago. I work on my apologies. We've talked about this before. Of like, hey, I'm sorry that offended you. That's not really the right.
You either have to acknowledge that you did something wrong and you truly have remorse for what you did, and then apologize, and then the person can choose to forgive you or not forgive you. Or if you truly believe you didn't do anything wrong and you're being unjustly accused, then stick with your righteous indignation and go, hey, I am eager for all the facts to come out of this because I am confident that they will show that I did nothing wrong and I have nothing to apologize for.
It's pretty crazy, too.
17 times. I have nothing to apologize
17.
for.
I was thinking about this. I get body work done. I get body work done every Friday.
At 17 different places?
One place. My man Chris does it. He is a wizard. And and I was laying there the other day and he was grinding into my quads. And I looked up and I saw what would be very valuable to have, a camera. And I thought to myself, that's what you need. You have to protect everyone involved. That should be standard.
Is that also, though, an invasion of privacy to the customer where they're being filmed while they don't take their vulnerable?
You're not vulnerable.
Position.
I don't take my clothes off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but a lot of masseuse places, spas.
That's true. I guess you couldn't videotape it. That would be creepy.
That would be creepy.
Some people could use it to be creepy when, in fact, you're just trying to protect everybody involved.
Yeah, it's tough. There's definitely a gray, tough area.
Bro, and this is extreme, devil's advocate. If it was one accusation, maybe it's possible that something happened.
It was
misconstrued. It was an accident. It was an awkward encounter, whatever. 17 women, 17 therapists.
Keep in mind, the NFL is investigating. And while we all like to jump to conclusions one way or another, there are people who are so eager to exonerate Justin Tucker, and there are people who are eager to condemn them. When you get security professionals, and they will interview a lot of these women, I guarantee you, they will quickly figure out whether the stories are a bunch of made up, whatever, and people are trying to, cash in, or if there are legitimate complaints, if there are consistencies with everybody's story. there's not 17 women didn't get together in some chat room and decide, okay, let's get everything absolutely straight, make up some giant smear campaign against Justin Tucker, 6 years later, because what are you going to get out of that? I can see where you think maybe we'll sue him and get some money out of this, but the investigation, I think, will determine quite a bit. It's telling that the Baltimore Ravens are coming out with statements. Their GM, this is really concerning. They don't seem to be going, full force in support of Justin Tucker.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, story number 2, also from the NFL, where the NFL Combine getting underway in Indianapolis, the NFL media gathering at various hotels, including the JW Marriott, where 2 NFL insiders had a encounter earlier this week. It was NFL Network's Ian Rappaport and Fox Sports NFL insider Jordan Schultz. They were in line at the same Starbucks inside the hotel when Schultz reportedly verbally accosted Rappaport. According to Pro Football Talk, Schultz approached Rappaport in line and said, "We need to talk." When Rappaport declined, Schultz allegedly responded, "If you have anything to say to me, say it to my bleeping face." The incident was reported to NFL security. Obviously, it was an awkward situation for the other customers in the Starbucks. No word on disciplinary action or what precipitated the disagreement
what's the
or the argument.
here?
I mean, did someone steal someone's scoop or take credit for a story, or is there something deeper between these two guys? What's going on? But a very unusual and odd story that has a little spice to what I think is normally an extremely dull event, and that's the NFL Combine.
I was at Better Buzz one time, and from behind me I heard, "You've got a problem." And I said, "Oh, what? And I just heard it again, "You've got a problem." And I said, "Oh, okay, sorry, Saw. I didn't mean to get in your face, bud." Right? You ever been accosted by another member of the media other than me?
I don't think so.
Verbally abused by any other member of the media but me?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so.
That's
well,
good.
I mean, we used to have the meetings at the old station, but
Yeah, that was more assault every day.
boss
Yeah, 5 days a
situation
week.
rather
Daily
than a-
whipping.
Daily whipping every
All
single
right,
day.
finally, a little do this, Frank.
DD mega doo-doo.
Sounds good. We've missed it a couple days.
Yeah, it feels good to be back in the groove a little bit. Man, this is such a sweet story. I've heard nothing but great things about Jake Berger, who now plays for the Texas Rangers.
That's right. It was a Marlin, now a Ranger.
Skip absolutely loved him. Said he was just
I didn't even think about that connection.
They got him over at the deadline
No.
and came in and he hit some big home runs for them and helped lead them to the playoffs and heard nothing but great things about Jake Berger. This moved me almost to tears, but he spent the previous 3 days of spring training before yesterday inside of the Vanderbilt Children's Hospital, which is about 1,700 miles from the Texas Rangers complex, where his 4-month-old daughter Penelope underwent open heart surgery. The surgery, which happened on Monday, Ben, was a success. He absolutely was given the okay, get back to spring training. You're trying to make a ball club. And so he flies back to Arizona, played in his first Cactus League game since Sunday, hit his first home run as a Texas Ranger with her bracelet, her hospital bracelet on his wrist. And I just thought, man, what a beautiful story. And he says, you got to have faith in something when you're sitting in the waiting room. My faith in God, my faith in my family grew exponentially. Blessed and grateful to have Penelope on the mend and ready to come for some Ranger baseball. I mean, you think about your own kids, obviously, and you think about an open heart surgery for a 4-month-old. It's just incredible, an incredible story. I'm so glad she's okay. And what a cool moment for Jake when he comes back in his first AB.
And we're just about 4 miles from the facility.
That's
Texas
true.
Rangers. Did anyone call? Is he here?
I don't think he's here.
We didn't even check and see if
I
he was here.
did.
Is he gonna be mad if we didn't
No.
hang out with him at all, do you think?
I'm sure he's probably pretty relieved.
That's probably true. And that's don't and do this for a Friday.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, when we come back, we will have our first Padres guest of the day, Nick Pivetta, new starting pitcher for the team. Conversation that we had yesterday, but it's good to get to know Nick. Tier 1s, you will get to know him as well when we come back with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
be one to watch.
All right, coming up, if you are not watching us on our YouTube stream but have the ability to get there, I do recommend you do so, because after our Nick Pivetta interview, which you can also see Nick, that's always a little treat to actually see the interview, not just listen, but the Padres have gently encouraged us to share with our audience some of their promotional items for the 2025 season. We got a whole box of them here, so we'll be doing a little modeling, which always goes a little bit better if you have the visual component to it. So we'll try to describe it if you're in your car and you can't YouTube us. But if you can, you will have a chance to see some of the new promotional items for the San Diego Padres for 2025. We are not at all being forced to do this at gunpoint.
It's a good day to do it.
It is a good day to do it.
Good
for
day.
sure.
Now, again, I can't make off with a couple of these things, right? Is that
as far as you know, no, you can't.
You want me to steal some? And
I think it's their only ones. They're still in production for the rest of the season. It's not like they have boxes.
So you're telling me that they produced one each?
This is the.
I'm not.
What do they call it? It's the test or the
sample.
The sample, yeah.
Yeah.
The original sample. So if you take that, they don't have any more here.
But then it would be the first.
It's true. You have the first, the only. They might need that to reproduce the rest of them.
It's like the Paul Skeens. I could trade it back for 30 years of season tickets to the Padres.
All right, let's get to Nick Pivetta, though. The Padres starting pitcher sat down with us after our show yesterday. Really good conversation with the newest member of the team. That's coming up right after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan. All right, we're joined right now by one of the newest members of the San Diego Padres. Starting pitcher Nick Pivetta is on with Ben and Woods here on 97.3 The Fan. Nick, welcome to the Padres. Welcome to the flagship radio station. It's great to meet you. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing really well. Just settling in for the first week, but happy to be here. It's nice Arizona spring training weather, so can't complain.
Yeah, so you were in Florida before with the Red Sox. What are your main differences other than the excruciatingly long drive times in Florida? How much nicer is it to be here in Arizona?
Well, I don't want to start off with a lie. I actually really prefer Florida spring training.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're the only one.
No, I know. I like.
But
I
that's
like
what you're
the
used
sweat.
to.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I've been doing since I started my career.
This is dry.
It's what I like. It's very dry here.
It's so dry.
Not a lot of birds, not a lot of trees, not a lot of water. But I grew up on an island on the west coast of Canada, so I'm just used to ocean, so I just prefer it. But
I got it. Well, San Diego's gonna be great
Diego's
for
gonna
you.
be perfect. It's
100%.
So what do you know about the San Diego Padres? I mean, you playing for the Boston Red Sox, other side of the country, rarely in interleague play. Yeah, you'll meet them every once in a while. But what did you know about the San Diego Padres before signing with them in free agency a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, I mean, not a whole lot. I did spend some time there intermediately with the Phillies when we would come into town, and then I was able to come out, I think, 2 years ago with the Red Sox. So I haven't been able to spend a lot of time there. I did spend an off season in LA, so I'm a little more familiar with that. But I know the city's a vibrant city. The fan base is very much grown over the years, and they're a very passionate group, along with the passionate group of baseball players we have here and the guys. But it's just a city that has the desire to win. It just excites me.
And the funny thing is I grew up, spent some time in Connecticut. Got saw the Yankees Red Sox rivalry, which was a really good one. That rivalry is fizzled a little bit. I mean, compared to what it used to be. The one that has been brewing here between the Dodgers and the Padres has been pretty electric. And it reminds me of back in those days when you were pitching with the Red Sox. That kind of feeling when you played the Yankees. What was that like?
Yeah, I mean, it's always exciting. Pitching in Yankee Stadium is actually one of my more favorite places to pitch. I think there's a lot of intensity, a lot of excitement. And I think it mirrors the same intensity excitement that we have here against the Los Angeles Dodgers. So I thrive in those moments. I look forward to those moments, and it's just what baseball is all about.
We've heard that about you. I mean, that was we've talked to a couple people that covered you in Boston as well, and said, man, the guy is start day for Nick Pivetta. What is that like? Walk us through a start day for you. I mean, day before a little different, day after certainly a little different, but day of start, what is that like for you?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think the wheels don't really start turning until about 5:30. I'm pretty relaxed. I like to go out, shag BP, hang out with the guys. I don't like to sit around and not talk. But given the time around 5:36, I start to lock in a little bit more. I have my prep routine that I follow. And then it's just go out there and just pitch until I get the ball taken out of my hand. I think it's just. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be able to be in the big leagues, to be able to play for many teams as I have, and to be where I am today. So I think I just try to leave everything out there as I possibly can, and just have fun and go out there and attack.
All right, that's good to know because I've been covering baseball for 20 plus years, and when I was getting started, I was warned sometimes don't even look at the starting pitcher on the day that there was no eye contact whatsoever. Sounds like you're not quite that insane about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it probably is like the wind, some days, it might hit me a little bit different. I might wake up in a different mood, but for the most part, I'm pretty easygoing up until I got to get locked in. But other days, there might be days where you don't want to be around me, and that's totally okay. I just have one job to do.
So we heard that they were doing it. They did it. You were a part of it. The Netflix documentary that's going to be coming out on Netflix. I'm not sure when it drops. I'm excited to see it. It's something that I'm a very average golfer, but I really like the full swing that they put together. They've done a good job with the NFL too. What was that like being a part of that experience, and what are we going to expect to see from that? I mean, you probably haven't seen the final cut yet. Yeah, but what's it going to look like?
I don't know how much you're going to see of me. I kind of really I was the union rep for the team over there, and so I was very engaged with kind of just communicating back and forth with the team. First thing I say is it's going to be very exciting. Hopefully the product is really good. Yeah. I know Greg, the director, he was very passionate about this. The team that was there were really good, and they're really respectful of us at the same time. There's a lot of engagement with a lot of players, and hopefully just it gives a good perspective of what it's like to go through 162. I think that was kind of the end goal and range of what it's really like to have to do this every single day, show up to the field, the same things going on, and then along with the travel, etc. You also get to meet a lot of really good personalities on and off the field, what I think is going to be really important. So hopefully the product is good, and I look forward to it coming out as well. I think it's good for the game. There's so much online media, YouTube, all of these more intimate settings.
Yeah.
And I think it just brings a more intimate setting into the game, and you get to really know these players on their year and the things that they have to deal with as they move forward. It kind of, one thing that I really liked was the back in the 24/7 NHL series.
Mm-hmm.
I forget. I think it was on HBO at the time, and then seeing the full swing. So I think those things are more in the line with our game, and I think it's up to us players to kind of be able to come up in those moments and do those things.
And baseball has been a sport traditionally that it has kind of been harder to get inside, and I don't know where that came from or why, but we all love access. I mean, the more access we can get, and there's also a part of it's like some mystery is always good too. Maybe I don't need to know as much as I know about certain players or whatever, but if done the right way, baseball is such that game that allows that. That's why you saw, Mookie Betts doing a podcast, and I mean, they went out and won the World Series, and of course, he had Dodger fans complaining all year long that he was doing a podcast in the middle of the season, but that's Mookie Betts. Like, I think that there's a way to do it and a way not to, and I'm excited to see it, man. I think it's a good idea, and it lets us all understand a little bit more about the great game.
Yeah, I think there's so much media nowadays too that it's not a distraction. It can't be a distraction because honestly, fans want to see more baseball. They want to see more content. They want to see more things that involve more than just the baseball game.
Yeah.
And so for me, I don't think it's almost like it's a new experience. That's not gonna, if anything, a guy doing those types of things, it's almost like, oh wow, he's doing this, he's giving more fan experience,
right,
more online media, and he's going out and producing in the field and doing all these things. That's amazing.
There's a stoicism that's come with baseball. There really has been. I mean, and you see that through the years. And I've always I like more personality, and I like seeing pitchers with personality on the mound. Hitters like to show a lot of personality. When you throw a ball and you leave one up and somebody hits it 450 feet and he stares at it and celebrates it, back in the day, that probably pissed you off, right? And that's kind of how a lot of people were brought up through the game. Now I think there's a greater understanding. It's like, well, if you get me, I'm going to get you back, and I'm going to give you a little bit of an earful walking off the mound too. Everything, all that's good with you. Yeah,
I mean, I think the game's evolving. I mean, do I like giving up home runs and watching guys pinch them? Absolutely not. Does it still get me upset? No, but being a pitcher that has hitting is extremely hard. It is not easy to do, and sometimes a hitter's going to get you and it's going to happen, and it can be during a big moment. I like to see it more when it's a bigger moment, when it means something.
Yes, I agree.
Obviously, there's lots of personalities in game, and people can be people and they can do what they want, but I'll just try not to give up so many home runs.
There you go. That's what they always say.
We're talking to new Padres pitcher Nick Pivetta. And Nick, you mentioned being the player rep, which I think is fascinating. Obviously, there's always going to be some differences of opinion, players and owners, things to bargain over. I think the fans are also an important part of the game as well. From your perspective, what are the biggest issues in baseball that you want to see addressed, as we come up, unfortunately, on another probably CBA, talks in a couple of years?
Yeah. As a good CBA rep or a player rep, I'm not going to go into exactly what we're kind of looking for right now. I know that we're working through those types of plans. We're kind of divulging what we kind of want to make our main priorities. I don't think I can give you a straightforward answer on that right now.
But it is being talked about.
We're still some time out, so I think there's still some conversations that we're figuring out and kind of coming up with a decent game plan to kind of attack these main issues that we're seeing. But also at the same time, I think we want to work with the league and work with them and make sure that we're exchanging proposals as often as possible so we can get this done and we don't have another work stoppage or anything like that like happened in 21.
Well, selfishly, the lack of content murdered us. And I keep looking down the road going, my contract is up. I don't know if I'll re-sign if there's another work stoppage because, you run out of stuff to talk about. So you grew up in Canada, right? No hockey? Play hockey?
No, I'm not I like hockey, obviously, but I like to watch hockey. I never played. I've always played baseball, and baseball's been my number one thing since I was younger.
How does that happen in Canada?
So I grew up in an island, so the climate's rather mild. We don't get as much snow, so I can play full winter ball, take about a month off, work out, indoor training from December to February, and usually by February we're back outside.
Nice. Nice.
All right, last thing for me, you come to the Padres. Obviously, there's some good starting pitchers here already, guys who throw hard, We got you, who's a crafty veteran. What has struck you already about some of your new teammates in the Padres starting rotation?
Yeah, I think it's a really cohesive group. I think the communication with everybody is really strong. Obviously, I'm just getting to know the group of guys and watching throw. I got to watch you throw a bullpen today, and I think he just continues to defy everything that is to be a pitcher. He looked absolutely extraordinary today. So I kind of just look forward to watching these guys, see how they go about their business, and then opening and engaging more conversations as the season kind of unfolds. But you got Dylan and you got Michael. You have Hart that signed on as well. And then I actually watched Vasquez throw today too as well. I think there's a really good group of pitchers. I think Cease and King, are very, very good pitchers that have done it and have continued to do it. So those guys are really important for this thing. So I'm glad that, I'm a part of this group, and I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah, we're glad you're here, man. It was a big surprise. I mean, it really was. We talked about it on the air, and we kind of hoped that it would happen. And getting that text on that Tuesday night was like, wait, we did what? And to go out and watch you throw yesterday and battle one of the best hitters in baseball was a lot of fun. You and Toddy going at it pretty good, and you got him, and he got you, and that's the way baseball goes.
Trevor Hoffman did say that homer was definitely wind 80.
He did, by the way. Hoffy was
He's picking me up. He's on the pitcher side.
That's wind 80.
Because that was wind 80.
That's nice. He's on my side. I appreciate that.
100%. Anytime you can get Hoffy on your side, that's where you want to be. Thank you so much. Thank you. Pleasure to meet you. Look forward to watching you pitch.
Yeah, appreciate you guys having me on. Take care, okay? Thank you.
The magic of YouTube. We are back live now, and since we have gone, we have decked out our table with some of the promotional giveaways for the Padres for the 2025 season. First, though, thanks to Nick Pivetta for sitting down with us, getting to know him a little bit better. Looking forward to seeing him on the mound for the San Diego Padres coming up in this spring and this season, Woodsy.
I'm looking forward to seeing the Netflix special as well.
Yes.
I can't wait, man. I've been wanting something like this for the game of baseball for so long. As I mentioned in the interview, baseball is such a traditionally guarded and stoic sport. I do love the personalities coming out a lot, and I can't wait for this.
I got a couple minutes here. Let's. I've got the list of some of the promotional items. Give me your 5-second review of each item. All right, opening series hat, Padres Braves, March 28th.
It looks like a Hats by Hannah original.
All right, Jackson Merrill bobblehead, March 31st against the Guardians. That'll be a big one. Monday, April 14th, the Aloha shirt in front of Paulie there, the Padres Aloha shirt.
Okay.
Then we've got Tuesday, April 29th for the Giants, the Tony Gwynn rookie bobblehead, another big one.
Rad.
The reversible retro bucket hat. I have it on the brown and gold, but you flip it. It's the 90s Padres pinstripe blue and orange on the other side against the Angels on May 14th.
You couldn't look cooler if you tried.
I thought so.
Yeah.
Not picture the military hoodie. City Connect
it's
sunglasses.
It's over here, military
right
hoodie, yeah.
City Connect sunglasses on June 22nd against the Royals.
You look amazing.
Fernando Tatis Jr. bat flip bobblehead on June
Incredible.
23rd against the Nationals. City Connect straw hat right in front of me, July 9th against the Diamondbacks. That's a sandless beach towel that it's resting on, which is good because I don't want the sand to come with my beach towel. I like them when they're sandless to begin with.
All the time that you spend at the beach.
Not much. July 29th against the Mets. Padres pillowcase, August 3rd against the Cardinals. Michael King bobblehead. We don't have that one yet. He's got a robe, like a cape, like a king's
like
cape
a king's
crown.
Okay. Look right at that camera and smile.
Hi.
Thank you.
August 20th against the Giants. The Manny Machado basketball jersey.
So rad.
That was cool. City Connect. Dylan Cease no-hitter bobblehead on September 10th. Beaded necklace, SD beaded necklace, September 14th. And the Luis Arraez La Regadera bobblehead, September 22nd against the Brewers. That's
so much good stuff.
We will come back. Second half, Ben Woods next here on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, my friends, we are halfway home on a Friday. Ben and Woods, 97.3. The Fan, great to be here with you. We are surrounded. We're at the Peoria Sports Complex, home of the San Diego Padres, and it's just a beehive of activity. There is a crow here that's very loud that you may hear.
It's a crow hive of activity.
It is a crow hive of activity. He was like, rah, rah, scared me to death.
We could name our crow.
What would you name him?
Cameron
Crow. Oh, that's pretty good.
I was going to say Jake.
Jake Crow. That's pretty good also. I didn't have a snappy comeback like you guys. I'm Woodsy. That's Benny, the friendly neighborhood sports anchor. Joins us as well. Paulie Reindl, who's just crushed it this week, is also here. Going to be joined by our buddies from Mad Friars, David and Clark, coming up pretty soon. Just hand-delivered their credentials. And as I was walking back, I noticed that old Shilt's Jeep in the parking lot. And I thought, I wonder if he
wasn't here when we got here this morning, right?
Correct.
How's it going?
Pretty good, Shilty.
But we could have been distracted because when we got here this morning, you set off the alarm on your ar and it wouldn't stop beeping. So we were kind of frantic trying to look for your keys.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with mine. There's something amiss with my alarm. And it just goes off like if you touch my car. It's really weird.
Is there any purpose to car alarms anymore?
I don't think so.
I mean, has a car alarm ever stopped
a robber?
Because people just ignore it. You hear a car alarm, your instinct is not, ooh, someone's stealing that car.
Someone's breaking in.
Man, can't that guy figure out how to turn off his alarm every single time?
His car alarm goes off every single day.
It does.
Every single.
There's Cameron.
There's Cameron.
Morning. Russell
the crow.
I couldn't tell you. I don't even know what my car alarm sounds like.
I don't know. Why.
Sounds kind of like that.
Listen.
You can't make him. You can't make him make sounds on. Oh, there it is.
If you would. Now he shuts up. All right. You'll wait till we start talking.
Maybe it's our talking that is getting him to talk back.
It's our crowing
responding to us.
So anyway, I saw Shilt's Jeep out there. I don't know what that means. I don't know if he's here. Do you want to text him, see if he'll come out? I'd love to.
We talked to him 2 days ago.
Who cares?
He seemed mad that we weren't going to take him out to dinner.
Well, we can talk about.
Do you really want to bring him back?
I do.
I some breakfast this morning.
Yeah,
I do. I would like to talk to Shildt. If he's here, it's like you're 10 feet away. Come on out. Let's shoot the breeze. Right?
Might as well.
I love talking to the skipper.
Maybe he's truly looking for something to do and didn't know we were back here.
Is he here? Is it eyewash that he's here this early?
I don't know. I'm sure he's got stuff to do. He's out here most of the day, and then he's got to go to the game. So that meant bus rides and back. So my guess is he's catching up on
some admin,
emails, or scouting reports and different things.
Maybe the manager has to minor league camp.
Well, they're not here.
There's no one here though.
Really,
they're
it's
working
quiet
out this morning though.
They are here at some point. Okay, yeah. It gives him a chance to alter his focus from the day to day of getting ready for the season for at least a couple of hours.
All right. Well, you want me to text him? I'll text him.
Sure.
All right.
See if he responds.
A bunch of chickens. You guys are terrified of Mike Shildt. I'll just text him. Say we're on the back patio. Come on out and say hello. We got.
I am a bit chicken Shildt. I will say that.
It's a bunch of bullshit that you're so worried about him. He's not going to give you any Shildt, man. Trust me.
This morning's been a real Shildt show.
It has been a Shildt show. It actually hasn't. It's just been slow. Shildt show happened the other day when there was 14 interviews in a row, but I loved it. I actually told our boss Adam, I said, man, I could have handled, we do 12 segments a day. I said I could have handled 12 interviews easy and would have loved every second of it. It was so fun to be able to talk to the guys, and we got some really good stuff from them. It's my favorite time of year, man.
What was your highlight of the week?
Luis.
We talked about it a little bit on our member stream.
Luis Arise was my highlight. I had been admiring that man since his days in Minnesota. And, when he got here, I would see him briefly, in the clubhouse, briefly. And then he would go on the field. He would do his work. He does a lot of work in the cage, which I'm not allowed in. Trust me, Paulie, with our media pass, if I could go down and sit in the batting cage and just watch him hit, I would do it. I am fascinated by his side work. And so the closest I've ever gotten to him was when he sat right next to me. And I was like, I was like a little kid again. He was my highlight. He was so great. And it's always great to talk to Manny.
Yeah,
and
it's hard to
Jackson,
say anything other than Manny
Yeah.
when he actually does sit down.
because he's
and-
gotten so
and
good.
he opens up a little bit, and it's so great talking to him. But I'm going to actually say, getting to hear Connor Joe tell his story about his cancer diagnosis, the treatment, having to come back, and the true appreciation that he's gained. I mean, literally said, it's the worst thing that's ever happened to me and probably the best thing that has ever happened to me, because I have gained such a new appreciation for the relationship with my wife, my parents.
Baseball?
He's got a new baby girl, and baseball every day. He does not if he has to go out and do fielding drills, he goes,
Yes,
this is
I get
a
to.
treat that I get to do this every single day after what he went through back in 2020, months of chemo and not knowing, not knowing if he's going to get back to baseball, not knowing if he's going to survive. It was stage 3. It was in his lungs. I hadn't realized, testicular cancer is obviously very serious, but you catch it early.
Treatable, yeah.
The survival rate is very, very high. Once it's spread to your lungs and it's stage 3, though, that's not the same case. And he's coming up on his 5-year anniversary, which would be true remission from cancer. He said that's in July, that he's looking forward to that. But to get his story, I thought was definitely maybe my highlight this trip.
I got to tell you too, the other person that I absolutely love talking to, and I'll just say it, a man crush on, is Tyler Wade. Tyler Wade sitting down was as cool as could be, and obviously going to be a guy that plays a few different roles for the Padres this year, but he was a delight to talk to, and can't wait to get to know him a little bit more throughout the season. Feels like a guy we could walk up to his locker in the clubhouse and say hello to. Always good to see the regulars, the cronies, the Joes. Those guys bring it every single time. But I really loved meeting Luis Arraez, man. It was like meeting Elvis for me. It really was. It was really cool.
I had no expectations, high or low, but I thought getting to talk to Jason Hayward was really cool.
God, he was fantastic.
He was so
bro.
good, and the veteran leadership just oozes.
100%.
You could hear it in his voice and the way he talks, and the things that he was saying. We were driving out of here yesterday, and I said to Woodsy, I said, man, I don't know what to expect from Jason Hayward on the field this year. Like, you kind of need, if you want to have something special happen at the end of the season, you kind of need those breakout performances like we had from Higgy last year or Profar. If this guy can give you 15 home runs, I mean, we'd all sign up for that right now, right? He is so
that
shape.
Would pretty much replace what Higgy did, for the Padres, which would be huge.
He brings the veteran presence, of course, and the leadership and all of that, but the glove will still be there.
I think so, yeah.
I think we and the fans, we've talked about him like he's 39, pushing 40. He's 35.
Yeah.
Like, is it out of the realm of
looks
possibility?
like he's in good shape
He does.
still. I didn't ask him, and we were kind of running out of time because Manny was coming out. He is such a good defender. He's actually only played, I think, 4 games in left field in his career. He's been a right fielder for his entire career, and it's doable, obviously, but it is a big, mirror reversal change that they're asking him to make at this stage in his career. And I did mean to ask him kind of, how's that been? Just kind of flipping everything around that you've known for, probably the last 20 years of your life playing in right field, and all of a sudden now you're trying to get it figured out in left field with some different throws and angles. And
No,
stuff.
I really enjoyed it. I mean, these guys, at the end of the day, it's great to have great human beings in here, and they all have been, to a man. They have been great human beings, very congenial. It doesn't, does it translate onto the field? You're going to need one of those guys. You're going to need a Connor Joe. You're going to need a Jason Hayward. You're going to need, an Elias Diaz. One of these guys, or more, need to step up and produce. That's really what the most important thing is with this ball club. And, Jason Hayward talking about yesterday coming to San Diego, partly because of the reason, they had a team that was ready to win. That attitude wasn't always here in San Diego. This was a place you came to finish out your career. Jason Hayward, 20 years ago, perfect Padre, right? Like a great career, couple World Series rings, comes on in and is like, I'm going to cruise. I'm going to play golf. My kids are going to love it. This is going to be phenomenal. Finish up the last couple of years of my career in beautiful sunny San Diego, get a nice place in Rancho Santa Fe, and call it a day. But there's a different mentality now with the Padres. And, a lot of credit goes to A.J. Preller. A lot of credit goes to the guys in the clubhouse, turning this place into, A, place people want to play, and B, a place where people expect to win.
One more highlight, and, as I've loved talking to everybody, but over the years, we've kind of developed our guys. And they're not always the star players, but guys that we really have a good rapport with. Obviously, Jake has kind of become one of our guys. Brian O'Grady was one of our guys when he was on the team. I think Michael King is starting to develop into one of our guys as well.
Man.
This is the third time we've talked to him.
Yep.
Sat down with him. It was so fun. You did kind of the arbitration hearing.
Yeah.
Like, what on earth could you say about Michael King that would be a knock on him in a hearing like that? You made him laugh. He thought it was pretty funny.
I'm just so glad they never got there with Michael King, because I'll tell you, AJ Preller would have embarrassed himself in that room. I mean, and I think AJ knows it. And, he's a guy. You look at I almost texted AJ the other day and said, you can't trade any of these dudes. I mean, like if you trade any of these dudes, I'm going to be really upset. That's what a good group he's put together here. A lot of credit goes to him. We'll see how it plays out on the field, obviously, but I have enjoyed this so very much.
All right, coming up here in the second half of Ben and Woods' final show in Arizona. You mentioned bottom of the hour. David and Clark from Mad Friars are going to be with us. We'll talk about some of the activities on the minor league fields here.
I know they're excited. I mean, again, the Padres farm system, in my opinion, at least based on what we've seen out of spring, Benny, I think we were a little undervalued going into it.
Remember to listen at 9 a.m. for us to announce today's biggest fan for your chance to qualify for a night in our Odyssey suite at a future Padres game. You can register your name at 973thefansd.com/biggest fan in order to potentially have your name called. Ryan will report, and then we've got the GM of SDFC, Tyler Heaps, going to check in at 9:35 for a few minutes as they get ready for their home opener, their franchise home opener tomorrow at Snapdragon Stadium. Up next, though, since it is extremely quiet here. In fact, so quiet that Woods is going to have to go a long way away not to hear the game.
Just take one of those golf carts and drive out as far as you can.
We are going to play Take on Woods. So if you want to be our contestant, you can call Frankie back in our studios, 833-288-0973. Chance to take on Woods in our musical trivia contest and qualify for our grand prize here at the end of the month. Should be the last one here in February. Trip to Las Vegas and Motley Crue tickets. That is all coming up next. Don't go away. Ben and Woods continuing for the Padres Spring Training Complex in Peoria, Arizona on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. All right.
Oh, he's coming.
Did you text the man?
Son of a gun. Let's go.
Is he coming right now?
He said, so I texted Shildt. I said, I saw your car in the lot. We're outside alone if you want to swing by. If not, have a great rest of camp. He said, how long y'all out there? I said, until 11. He said, okay, I'll come out shortly.
All
the
right.
skipper.
All right. Well,
twice in 3 days.
You want to try to get to Take on Woods quickly
let's do it
before
quick.
he comes out? All right, let's get to it, Frankie. Let's play a little Take on Woods. This is against Woods for a chance to qualify for our grand prize drawing trip to Las Vegas at the MGM, Park MGM, and the tickets to Motley Crue at Dolby Live at the Park MGM, their residency March 28th to April 19th. You can get your tickets now at Ticketmaster.com. But Dylan, are you there?
Can you guys hear me loud and clear?
I can hear you. Woods cannot. We've sent him far away, so he can't hear this portion of the game. But we'll have your 5 questions of musical trivia, and you get to pick our category. We've got Don't Call Me Jonathan, 5 song titles that include a nickname for someone named Jonathan. V is for Victory. Those are one-word song titles beginning with the letter V. And That's a Mouthful, 5 bands with long enough names that they're often referred to by their abbreviations. So Don't Call Me Jonathan, V for Victory, or That's a Mouthful. Dylan, what would you like to play?
Let's do That's a Mouthful.
That's a mouthful. All right, today on Take on Woods, we're looking for 5 bands with long enough names. They're often shortened to just their abbreviated letters. And I will take either the abbreviation or band name for a correct answer. You're going to have your 60 seconds. If you don't know an answer, say pass. We can come back to it. First question is the 2-second song. Frankie's queuing it up back in the studio. You need to give me both the title of the band and the artist, either abbreviated or full name. It's your choice. So, Dylan, are you ready to play?
You said the title of the song and the band?
For the music on the first question only, you need to give me the title of the song and the band as well. Yes, after that, it'll just be band names or abbreviations.
Perfect.
All right. Frank, you ready? All right, let's do this. Let's put 60 seconds on the clock. Dylan, your time begins when Frank plays our music. Category is That's a Mouthful. Good luck. Let's Take on Woods.
Pass.
Jeff Lynne and Roy Wood co-founded which English rock band whose songs like Don't Bring Me Down were noted for their classical influences?
Pass.
After a bitter legal feud, bassist Stu Cook and drummer Doug Clifford spun off from which legendary band and changed the last word to Revisited?
Oh my gosh, I'm going to embarrass myself.
Which English electronic band gained popularity in the U.S. when the movie Pretty in Pink featured their song If You Leave?
In Sync?
Incorrect. After being joined by its 4th and final member, which supergroup released hits including Teach Your Children in 1970?
Okay, let's just give Woods the win at this point because I'm way.
All right, that's probably going to happen. Let's bring Woodsy back in. Sorry, Dylan. You know what? Tough category. Tough category today. I'm not going to give the answers because Woods is on his way back, and I don't want to give anything away. But he's going to take this one, no doubt about it. And a tough category. It's definitely was a trickier one. So, all right, Woods. Dylan's score is locked in. Dylan struggled, but it's a tougher category, so we'll see how you do. Let's put 60 seconds back on the clock. Frankie's got the music ready. Your time begins when Frank plays the music. Good luck, Woods. Let's take on Dylan.
Taking Care of Business by BTO.
Correct. Jeff Lynne and Roy Wood co-founded which English rock
ELO.
band? Correct. After a bitter legal feud, bassist Stu Cook and drummer Doug Clifford spun off from which legendary band and changed the last word to Revisited?
CCR.
Correct. Which English electronic band gained popularity in the U.S. when the movie Pretty in Pink
OMD?
featured? Correct. After being joined by its 4th and final member, which supergroup released hits including Teach Your Children in 1970?
That is CSN or CSNY.
Correct.
Yeah.
Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young. Very good. 5 for 5.
Crushed it.
5-0 shutout. Yeah, those are bands that are often referred to by their abbreviated names: BTO, Bachman Turner Overdrive, ELO, Electric Light Orchestra, CCR, Creedence Clearwater Revival, OMD, Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark.
Reviver.
And,
Reviver.
And
Clearwater
CSNY, Crosby,
Reviver.
Stills, Nash, and Young. All right, we've got the guys here from Mad Fridays, and we also might have Mike Shildt coming out. So one of the two, all three of them, all coming up. So why don't we take a little time out? We'll come back
Let's
live
let
from
the three of them handle it the rest
That's
of the way.
true. We
and
can just
hit
go.
the
We can hit the
road.
road on the way back to San Diego. You guys ready to interview Mike Shildt when we come back? Standing by on the back patio in Peoria, Arizona. It's Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3. back live here in Peoria, Arizona. Just a little less than an hour and a half left, and then our trip is done. We'll head back to San Diego, but Sammy Levitt will still be here for coverage for the remaining almost 4 weeks left of spring training. I think 3.5, and then they'll head back to San Diego for the season opener against the Atlanta Braves on Thursday, March 27th. Is that correct? That sound right to you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So when we've been here, obviously we've seen some of the guys talk to a number of the major league players, but we haven't really had a lot of time for the backfields. And, we saw Cash Mayfield pitching, which was really cool. Top draft pick from the Padres last year. But joining us live right now here on the back patio are our friends from Mad Friars. We got David J. Clark Farenthold is here, and you're going to kind of answer some of the questions that we have about what's going on with the Padres in the minor leagues. Woods?
Yeah, man, I'm excited to have you guys here. You are sharing a mic. Yes. It's our pleasure. I don't even think your mic's on. All right, now try it again.
All right, thanks for having us.
It's good to have you dudes out here. And again, if the skipper comes out, I'm gonna have to kick you both out. But we'll make time to do this. Obviously, the two names that everyone's talking about is Ethan and Leo. They've developed quite a good bond together. Fun to watch both of those guys play. Watched Ethan do some drills right over there the other day. Watching him do catching drills is like watching Manny Pickett at third. It's just you could watch it all day. He's so savvy behind the dish. The bat needs to come around, but that's not uncommon for somebody of his age.
Definitely. Look, I think with Ethan, a big part that people sometimes maybe overlook a little bit, and they really shouldn't, is the defense that he does possess. I think that inherently gives him such a higher floor as a prospect itself. He talks a lot about this year when he was in the minors, when I had a chance to talk to him in the AFL, about not trying to chase pop times anymore, just trying to make good solid throws down the second base.
Yeah.
That really helps the caught stealing rate. I think he put up a 27% number this season. He's just so fluid, steals strikes. Like you guys said, the bat does need to come around. But with where he's at right now, I think it's a pretty good spot.
You make a good point, Clark, though. I mean, if there's a spot, for Austin Hedges in the big leagues, Ethan Salas is going to have probably a long big league career, whether he hits or not. Now, if he hits, he'll be a star. He'll be an extremely valuable player. If he doesn't hit, he's still going to have a role, right, David? Probably in the big leagues at some point, just from his defensive abilities.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're talking about a guy who, again, is a month younger than the likely first overall pick in the draft in July, right? And he's going to be out at least in high A and probably in double A. He'll have had 200 plate appearances in double A before the first pick in this year's draft is called, and he's younger, right? So you're right. And you're looking at a position at catcher where obviously the offensive bar isn't that high across the league in general.
Yeah.
And where like wild swings from year to year are really the norm, right? Like, I mean, Heim 2 years ago, Jonah Heim was really seen as the next generation of catcher, so you're looking at a position where you're going to see swings year to year, even from guys who are multi-time all-stars.
Yeah, it's a good point that you make. I mean, which is why, when we have a consistent catcher in the big leagues, a guy like Salvi Perez that does both, and puts up those numbers, we really need to respect and kind of honor those guys because the position is so demanding, as is really every position out there, man. 162 is a lot, but the catchers specifically, when you have those generational type catchers, which is what we're all hoping Ethan can be, yeah, man, it's quite an accomplishment. It really is. It's quite an accomplishment. Leo has been a treat to watch hit. His discipline, his bat speed, and he is 18 years old, and it will only get better. He seems to be the real deal, a guy that, 2 years. Like keep doing what you're doing. You could be here in 2 years doing it in the spot for the San Diego Padres.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think when you look at Leo, again, he's another guy that's 18 years old, but he's playing right now well above his age. I think from people who have had an opportunity to see him this spring, those 2 hits that he's put together, both incredibly impressive at bats and showcases what he is, a super disciplined hitter who can go the other way with the ball, can drive the ball with authority. I think for him, last season, it started off a little bit slow at Lake Elsinore, but he really picked it up in mid-July. You saw a guy who hit for power from both sides of the plate. I think he had a chase rate below 25%. So it wasn't only a guy that was hitting for power, but knew the strike zone, walked above 10%. And again, if that's your base level floor for a guy like Leo for where he's at right now, he's only going to continue to improve on those marks as the years go on. So again,
do you think he gets to Fort Wayne this year?
I think that's probably going to be the likely outcome for him. Yeah.
You know, when you talk about 18-year-olds and still not coming into their power yet, even Jackson Merrill sat here and said,
"Yeah, I
don't think I have my man strength yet." As you follow younger prospects, is there any general age range where they do see a jump in power, or is it very individual to individual based on how that development comes?
Yeah, I mean, some of it is. We all go through our own development as teenagers differently, right? And some guys develop earlier and max out, and some guys at 19, you look at him and you're like, oh, he's done growing, and then the end of the season, all of a sudden he's 3/4 of an inch taller or an inch taller. I think one of the things with Leo, whereas Ethan really kind of grew up being groomed for this, right? Like his dad, his uncle, his great uncle all played professionally. Both his brothers were groomed to be professional baseball players. Like Leo it did not have that experience, right? The first time in his life he got on an airplane was to come to Peoria not quite a year ago.
Wow.
Right. And so, when you talk to, one of the things that's interesting in the game is, sometimes if you talk to guys day-to-day coach and manager on the minor league side, you'll hear one thing, and then the Rovers and the org leadership guys have a really different perspective because they aren't spending every day with him. He's a guy who you get unified response on, right? The people who are watching him and working with him every day love him. The guys who are looking at the baseline stuff from afar love him, and that's a pretty remarkable combination to have.
I had a lot of talk this camp from the skipper Mike Shildt, who should be out to come hang out. I hope he makes it out before we leave. About Bradley Rodriguez, and that's a name. Net is another name that we've heard a lot of. Cruz, another name. Anybody that you look at, David, and you think to yourself, this guy could break camp. Maybe with depending on how things shake out. The injury to Sean Reynolds may open a slot for somebody that maybe a hard throwing right-hander. But if there anybody you look at and they go, this guy is potentially on the cusp of being ready. And AJ and them, they've shown they're not afraid to put somebody on the big league roster that in fact may not be ready. Jackson Merrill was that guy. No one could say for sure he was ready except for AJ Preller and Jackson Merrill.
Some of us rather embarrassingly said he was not ready.
100%. You're not in the minority,
right.
though. You're not. I think a lot of us felt like, what are we doing? Are we this desperate at this point to move this shortstop out to center field for an actual big league season?
Right. And when you look at the pitching side, obviously it's easier for a reliever to make that jump from non-roster invitee to on the opening day staff. You look at the hard throwers from the right-hand side, and it's really Pena and Rodriguez are the two who, both have shown the ability to work late innings in relief. Both of them have some real upside. Rodriguez, the fastball is sexy. The changeup is maybe the best pitch in the organization.
That's unreal.
Yeah.
That's unreal.
And I think one of the things that's a real tribute to the amateur side scouting and the international scouting group for the Padres, Pena is a guy who signed for $10,000 as a just almost 21-year-old.
Wow.
Right. And went from the DSL to AAA in 15 months.
That's pretty incredible.
Right.
That is pretty incredible.
Yeah. So
that tells you there's the fast tracking that's going on right now because they really like what they see.
Yeah. And I think we were talking because there's so much else to talk about as you drive through tacky Arizona at 6 a.m. We were talking about, Ryan Ock is a guy from the left-hand side who, didn't get protected for the Rule 5 draft this winter, which I had kind of thought he might. But, he's a guy that we both, I think, really like.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, with Ock, you saw it a lot last year. He was a guy who just continually struck guys out down in the minor leagues. I think his first 2 appearances so far have been solid. The sinker plays well. The changeup goes off of it too. And the slider's a nice complementary piece to go with it. I mean, I think he has sort of what they want in their left-handers. Like they have a guy like Cosgrove in there right now, where it's a little bit more of an unorthodox motion with the arm slot that he has, and then kind of the combination with, again, the sinker and the changeup. It plays well enough where it gets guys out quite often. I think the sinker, again, sort of fastball, has that late life that gets on guys. He doesn't get great extension, but again, because of the arm slot, because of the motion, the pitches play up, and he gets a lot of whiffs out of it. And again, I know he gave the home run up in his second appearance, but he's been pretty effective out there so far. So if they're looking for a left-hander in the bullpen, I think Ock could definitely be a guy that they go ahead and maybe go with on opening.
All right, it's Ryan Ock, O-C-H. I was wondering how the pronunciation. It's good to learn some of these pronunciations. We're talking with David J. Clark Farenthold from Mad Friars on Padres Prospects. Another one I learned from Jesse Agler during one of the games. It's not Romeo Sanabria, it's Romeo Sanabria. And David, he's one of the top power prospects in the organization. Is that correct?
Yeah, and he's sort of an interesting story. He came out of JUCO in Florida as an 18th round pick a couple years ago. He'd been primarily a catcher there. Big body, short left-handed swing. They moved him to first base so that he could really focus in there and do some work on his physical development and really focus in on the bat, because that's what's going to carry him. They sort of slow played him. He spent the entire 23 season out here in the desert before getting just a small taste of Fort Wayne or of Elsinore at the end. Last year he went out to Elsinore. We saw him, and I probably a dozen times, and just, he has, for a guy his size, he has really good bat to ball. He is a line drive hitter who has enough power to make those line drives go out. He made 2 jumps. He finished the year in San Antonio last year. It's a lousy ballpark for a left-handed power hitter. It really makes the right center field gap in Petco look inviting.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a tough spot. I think there are questions about whether he'll have the bat speed against elite velocity in at the highest level, but he has very much played himself into being a prospect from a guy who, like I said, he did not start his first year at junior college in Florida. So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
We're going to talk more with the Mad Friars guys after a quick check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. Talking Padres prospects with David and Clark from Mad Friars. And I did want to ask you about last year's draft picks. Mentioned seeing Cash Mayfield right over there throwing against the German national team the other day and looking really sharp. Obviously they'd expect that from a first-round draft pick, left-hander. But who else? It's been early. The draft is so late now. You don't see much of these guys. A lot of them never even competed last year. So this is the first look. Is there anyone who's standing out that you're excited about when it comes to last year's draft picks?
I mean, definitely. There's a number of guys. I think you can kind of go down last year's draft class in terms of a list. I mean, Cale Fountain's certainly a name that's
big
turn heads with the power. Really huge dude. People, I think, kind of caught on to that when they saw the video of him walking next to Kavaris Tears, who's another interesting name. I think
Hellish Raw Power, Kavaris Tears. Hellish Raw Power. If I had it,
was that then? Who was Light Tower Power? Was that was Cale Fountain?
Yeah.
We've got Hellish Raw Power and Light Tower Power.
I love it.
I think for everyone from that draft class, though, I think the one that's definitely for myself, being one to keep an eye on, just because you heard so much from last season when he got to the complex, is Cobb Hightower.
Yeah.
I think people got to see him. Well, unfortunately, they didn't get to see him yesterday at the A's complex with his base knock, but he's someone whose profile is just a typical hitterish guy. If you look at his tape from East Rowan High School, really solid hands, good bat path, really good feel for the barrel. Another thing I think people a lot of times miss with him, at least through the scouting report, is we're talking about a guy that ran a 6.6 60.
Wow.
I mean, he can absolutely fly. And I think, too, for him right now, while he'll probably bulk up over time, I think he's someone whose in-game power is always going to play better than his actual raw power numbers. So while the batting practice might not always light up the world, he'll probably play more power in-game in terms of, like, driving ball gap.
Shortstop?
Shortstop
now.
I mean, come on now. It's
6'6", 60. Welcome to the outfield, buddy.
Yes.
I know AJ has teams of scouts. Does he end up just taking the guys with the coolest sounding names ultimately?
Last year they really had an 80 grade name draft.
Tavares,
you got
Cobb,
you got the top Boston
Bateman, Cash Mayfield.
Boston Bateman is a man.
It is not hard to believe that his father was a starting offensive lineman professionally.
I mean,
Homer Bush.
Yeah.
Yeah, Homer Bush. Yeah. That's right.
Well, and you also got out of last year's class, you got Brendan Butterworth, which is just
fantastic.
You can't sound anything but joyful when you say Brendan Butterworth.
Well, and the interesting thing too, and let me ask you this, just kind of point blank: is it Tirso time? Is he going to arrive on the scene? And if you're Tirso Ornelas, you've been in the organization a while. You played really well last year. Right. There's an open spot in the position that you play. And then, AJ Preller does what AJ Preller does. He's got to cover his bases. He brings in veteran. They've got, 3 or 4 or 5 guys out there battling for that position. Obviously, they're not just going to hand it to a guy because he's been here a while and hit 24 homers in the minors last year. But I know he's out there competing hard for that position. What is your read on Tirso Ornelas?
Man, like you said, so there are only 2 people who've been in the organization longer than
Eggy.
Yep.
Eggy, and I don't know the other one.
Ooh. I knew it was Eggy.
Yeah.
Eggy, Tirso.
Adrian Morejon? No.
By a day.
By a day.
Exactly.
Happy birthday yesterday to Adrian Morejon. They had balloons for him as he was walking out.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think so he's been around for forever. He had the chance to potentially hit free agency. They had given him the option of opting out last year. That's why they put him on the 40-man roster there in July when they didn't have any intention of bringing him up. Look, he has reemerged in the last 2 years. He's a guy who lit it up when he came stateside for the first time in 2017. He looked good in 2018. And he got out to Fort Wayne and things just went sideways for him. He wound up back down in the complex trying to rework things. He's always been a guy who's struggled to elevate and celebrate the way you'd like to see for somebody with his power. But he's done a really nice job of reworking his swing. He's still on the ground more than you'd like. He's still sending stuff the other way a little bit more. You talk about a guy who's physically changed dramatically since he was a 17-year-old out here. He's a guy who
he's in the mix.
Yeah. And whether he opens this year on the 26-man roster, he's going to get at bats for the big league team. And at that point,
see what he can do.
Right. And that's one of the things about player development that I think, sometimes gets missed if you're just sort of watching from afar, right? Like there are things in a player's control, but there are also things that aren't, right? And look, if the Padres had a multi-time All-Star at first base and, going into last year, they had gotten Profar to agree to an option for the 25 season, Tirso wouldn't be in the mix.
Yeah.
But there's now a window, and he's got a skill set that could translate to earning the chance, as does Eggy.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, really appreciate it. We're running out of time here, but I know you want to get out and do some scouting. I see some guys raking and watering the fields out there, and you can see who really is coming up on the grounds crew right now. I might be looking for a big league promotion at some point because those jobs are coveted on the big league level.
Thank you guys for all your hard work on this stuff. I think that this system is was a little bit undervalued going into with some of the rankings I saw, based on just some of the numbers I'm seeing pop every day out here from guys that are throwing hard, guys that are making a name for themselves. So I think at the end of spring training, the Padres farm system is going to be moving up a couple of ticks.
Clark Farenthold, David J. from Mad Friars. You can always check out their content at
Great
madfriars.com. Keeping us up to date. It's hard to keep track of everything in a baseball organization.
It is.
They have hundreds of people here who do it.
Yeah.
For fans, Mad Friars is one of the great places to help keep you up to date on what's going on in the Padres in the minor leagues. Thanks, gentlemen. All right, we've got 1 hour left, and then we're done with our trip to Peoria.
Crazy.
We could have the skipper just popping out to
Yeah.
say hello. We've already chatted with him about all the serious stuff, but maybe we can just have a casual conversation.
He loves talking casual with you. It's his favorite.
He does.
Yeah,
I know.
he does.
Exactly. Paulie's got some Roundel Report headlines. We also have our biggest fan contest, so stay tuned. We'll call another name for your chance to qualify for the night in our Odyssey Suite at a Padres game coming up this season as well, right at the top of the hour. And Tyler Heaps, the general manager from SDFC, on the eve of their big day at Snapdragon Stadium, the home franchise opener against St. Louis City tomorrow night. Tyler Heaps will join us at 9:35. All coming up here with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3, The Fan. Ben Woods, live from Peoria, Arizona. Thanks again to David and Clark from Mad Friars. If you are coming out this weekend, and I know a lot of Tier 1s are probably maybe even hitting the road and heading out for tonight's game and tomorrow and Sunday, Mad Friars is going to be doing a brewery event out here at Simple Machine Brewery. What time? About 5:36 in the evening. Talk Padres baseball, talk Padres prospect, hang out with like-minded people who like Padres, minor leaguers, and beer. It's a small subset, with which David is pretty much the king of that subset. But they are out there, and if you're here this weekend, you can check them out at Simple Machine Brewery. Before we do anything else, it's 9 o'clock. Back in San Diego, at least. It's 10 o'clock here, but it's time for our biggest fan announcement of the day. If you hear your name called, you will have 10 minutes to call Frankie back at the studio at 833-288-0973 and qualify for our grand prize drawing. 20 tickets for you and your friends for a night in our Odyssey Suite at a Padres game later this season. Y'all can still register your name at 973thefan.sd.com/biggest fan. But today's biggest fan is Christopher Laker from San Diego. Christopher Laker.
Can't stop talking Lakers.
From San Diego. Christopher,
I know
you're
it's a
on
little
the clock.
bit quiet out here, but my God,
He's
man.
always jamming in L.A. Laker talk.
Speaking of the Lakers, they
Oh,
did
my
win
God.
last night over the Minnesota Timberwolves. Good performance for LeBron and Luka. They've got another game tonight, back-to-back against the Clippers. I might not see any of those guys tonight, though. They all seem like they were kind of beat up after yesterday's game against Minnesota, so it may be a B-team squad against the Clippers on the second of back-to-back nights. But they've won. They're I think tied for third now in the Western Conference. Fine. You want to talk Warriors? Steph had 56 last night.
Not really.
They've won 7 of 8 since
56. My God.
Since acquiring Jimmy Butler. They're red hot. 12 3-pointers.
How's he playing?
That was the best game of the season by far, but he looked like old Steph last night for sure.
No, Jimmy.
Oh, Jimmy's been good. He's been
Good.
solid addition. I mean, they're winning games. He's good, another option for that team. You know, with Clay gone, they needed another star, and they found him. I mean, the Warriors were kind of a fringe playoff team a week ago. Now they look like a solid Western Conference contender. So, trade. There's never been a more transformative trade deadline than the one.
I mean, that was a big one
in the NBA a few weeks ago. It's completely changed the entire sport essentially. So it's been intriguing following. I didn't bring up the Lakers. The biggest fan was named Laker.
Something Laker.
Christopher Laker.
All I heard was Laker, and I was like, oh, here we go again. Here we go again. Excited for the
Christopher's wife is a Laker girl.
I doubt it. I mean, she could be.
Well, I mean, literally,
she
she
disparage
is,
this
probably.
man's wife. She is a Laker girl. That's true. She's a Laker girl. That's true. Maybe a Laker woman.
Yeah.
I'm excited for the SDFC game that is happening tomorrow. I will not be in attendance. Got the family in town from Texas. They're already delayed their flight, and so I want to go eventually to a game, but it will not be the opening game. And I think, the opening, it's going to be such an insane scene. I probably will get some major FOMO watching it on my new MLS package on Apple. Season pass
on Apple. I think I need a breakdown because that's the only way tomorrow night's game is available. I believe
is it? So I heard somebody had DM'd me the other day, and I don't know the exact number, but if you're interested in watching SDFC, I went and I spent the $79. I got the season pass. Look, I'm probably not going to be watching many other MLS games, so I basically paid $79 for these games. But I did see something. Somebody said like 5 of their first 6 games are going to be available to see without the package. So I think,
really,
yeah,
I did not realize that.
I'm pretty sure
they have a messaging problem.
How it should have been.
Even like a sportscaster who works on television and radio is still not clear about how you can watch the game.
Well, if you pay, you can definitely watch.
Well, I know that, but if there are other options out there, they do not advertise them very well.
And if you're with T-Mobile, then you get it for free. If you're a teenager on T-Mobile that likes Jelly Roll, you can also watch it for free. Right?
Yeah. Well, not just Jelly Roll, but
Sabrina Carpenter.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Who's the other one? Tate McRae.
Doja Cat. Their pink logo and
so I have Verizon, so I just had to spend the $79.
Grown up.
Happy to do it.
All right, let's get to some headlines with Paulie.
Let's go.
It is time
Come on,
for
Shilty, where you at?
Arizona edition of the Rindle Report.
All right.
And get things started here.
There we
with
go.
Our today's edition of the Rindle Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Rindle Report with Paul Rindle.
Hi, Paul.
All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Rindle Report
Hey, Paul, how you doing? Okay, how are you?
on 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a yeah? Oh, yeah.
All right.
All
righty.
right. Happy Friday, gentlemen.
Man, I can't tell you how much I missed the Rindle Report.
Yeah, I missed it as well. Been very busy the last couple of days, but we do have a couple of stories here. One in sports, one not in sports that we've missed. Haven't talked a lot of football this week. Talked a little bit of football.
Somewhat by
just
design,
now.
but that's fine.
Yes, exactly. Somewhat by design, but
You can get your football talk at Maggie and Perloff or Colin Cowherd.
Ben has, I'm sure.
I'm sure he
Have you
has.
listened to Maggie and Perloff while we've been out here?
I have not listened while I've missed them.
On
I
the
missed
Odyssey
them while
app
we
or
were out
something?
here.
Look who is here.
And this
First
Rindle
up-
Report, we're going to actually push it to our next segment.
We're gonna
There we
the Rindle Report has come to
because
an end.
Look who's here.
We are lonely. we are lonely out here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so early in the day. He's not even in uniform yet.
I love
we
it.
got the manager of the San Diego Padres, Mike Shildt. We do appreciate you stopping by here just because it's been very quiet this morning out here.
Like the quietest of any place I've ever been, actually.
Yeah.
But if it wasn't for the crow walking around, we would have heard nothing this
Right.
morning.
You
It's
guys
been,
knew there was a night game.
we did.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, yeah, no, your PR staff forgot about that when they scheduled us for these 3 days, but
Yeah. It's all
that's
right.
okay.
That's
It
all
happened.
right.
You know, we got a good interview with Nick Pivetta that we ran earlier
Yep.
with one of your new players, and he was
Okay.
fun to meet yesterday.
Yeah, Nick's great.
He's got a good edge to him, and looking
He
forward
does.
to seeing him on the mound this season. But that we got that earlier, so that was good.
I don't know if you were on the field the other day. I didn't see you. Maybe you were behind the cage. Did you see the Pivetta and Tatis 3 at-bat battle?
I was aware of it.
Were you aware of it?
Yes,
I'm sure you're aware of everything.
Yeah.
We were actually standing down there, and to watch those guys, obviously everyone's on the same team, pulling on the same rope.
Right.
But to watch the competition was pretty awesome, and to see Pivetta get him,
Right.
and on a questionable call, in my opinion, questionable call.
It was
And
very questionable.
Toddy thought it was questionable as
Yeah.
well.
I like this strike call right after that.
On the dirt.
It killed me.
Oh,
And then
yeah.
to watch Toddy take him about 450 over the batter's eye was pretty special.
Pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, who can do that 6 days after the flu?
That's what we were saying. And you saw the first swing he took was a heater up around the letter, and he was way behind it. But he took that information, took it to the next AB, and saw that heater. He did not miss it again. It was pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, pretty cool.
It was, and got a chance to talk to Hoffy, who was out there kind of observing, to talk about him for a second. And I saw him yesterday by the cages, and I said, "So what have they got you doing?" He goes, "Whatever they need. I'm just out here watching." He's been out here the whole time.
Mhm.
Having a resource like Trevor Hoffman to work with some of these guys is pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, we want to value the past of the Padre history, honor it, as having Hoffy back here, Hideo Nomo, I think you see walking around as well. Jake Peavy spoke to the group at Camp 44, looking to have him involved more. As many guys that help build the Padres organization that have done a lot of great things for the organization. We want to have them included. Clearly, you've got Trevor Hoffman, Hall of Famer. He's around. He's such humility, with this guy. I know you've gotten to know him, but we do use him as a resource. One of the things I talked about, not to be out of school, but with the group being the team, when we started our, State of the Union at the beginning of the season, we talk about experiences, using your own, gathering them, and then using others. And I said, the guy that I would like to think that the group would use, the group being the team, regardless, is a really humble gentleman over there, Mr. Hoffman, Hall of Famer. And he's just always open and available for not only the players, but myself and the staff. And, we had a little bit of a temperature gauge of the big league staff 2 days ago, just where we're at, where we're going. And, Hoffy was involved, and, he kind of rightfully closed the meeting and got a chance to talk to him a little bit. And
he was able to share some wisdom, and every time he speaks, value comes out of his mouth.
Yeah, for sure.
I know you'll have to check in with your guys before you get your final lineup, but I've heard that we're going to see a fairly representative group out there tonight against the Mariners because Toddy's
still going to be in town,
back.
or
no? We're taking off after the show today.
Time to
get back to San Diego
again.
Back to the fan.
I know. We got to get back, but we will be keeping track right here on 97.3 The Fan.
Okay.
Got a live broadcast, so we can tune in with everybody else. But does that give you a little value to because obviously you mix it up and guys are on different schedules and you don't take everybody on the road and spring training, but on a game like this where you actually get to see maybe some of your guys together, does that give you some value at this point in spring training?
It's pretty cool. I mean, it worked out, the way the schedule works. Spring training is, an opportunity for everybody to get ready at their pace. And some guys, that are working to make a club, they go a little harder early in camp, and they know that. Guys are more established. There's a ramp up that's appropriate. They don't typically travel a whole lot. Not that they don't. I mean, day before yesterday, I had Bogey Crony, go over to Glendale and play the White Sox. Jackson, of course, still young in his career, still make some trips.
St. Louis all the way.
And then Luis, Luis and Wadey, man, they were riding together yesterday to Mesa. I was having fun with Toddy and like, hey, man, looks like you're pretty good with that homer to dead center. You ready to go on that trip tomorrow? He's like, no.
He said the same thing about coming on this show.
He did. Actually, still not feeling great.
Yeah, man, it's real. It's real, and he's earned it. So anyway, today it works out really well. We're a couple games on the road, guys getting some appropriate time to work on the backfields and work on their craft, but now we got a lineup that we're running out that's pretty darn good tonight.
We were just talking to our buddies over there. They work for Mad Friars. I'm sure you've heard of Mad Friars. They handle the minor league systems of the Padres. It's such your background, and you've done everything you can do on a baseball field, starting with coaching kids and really moving your way up to being one of the best managers in baseball, Shildt. And how much time do you get to spend with the Boston Batemans of the world, the Cobb Hightowers, the Kavaris Tiers, guys like that are out here, not going to make the club for sure, but have a future in this organization or maybe even another one. But how much time do you get to spend with those guys? I know your hands are full with the guys that you are going to be going into the season with.
Yeah, you know what? I spoke with Riley Westman, our farm director, Vinny Lopez, our field coordinator, Mike Daly, who helps our Riley, and we're putting together something where I can go speak to the prospect camp right now, the mini camp. So I'm going to do that in the next day or two.
Excellent.
Which is really important. I'd also like to follow up and, speak to the entire minor league camp when they get here and, really try to be a resource for them, give them some guidance, hopefully, and a little bit of wisdom. And it's really important. It was cool yesterday. You go out and, I don't know, Cobb is from North Carolina, so I know more of Cobb and where he comes from. We share some of the same roads growing up.
It's the only place where you're going to find a guy named Cobb, by the way, in my experience.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to find a little bit of everything, and especially in Eastern North Carolina, but yeah, North Carolina in general. But yeah, so I meet him on the mound yesterday. The kid's literally a year out. I mean, this time last year he was playing 20 games in high school.
Crazy.
And now he's in a big league spring training A game and gets a knock. And I go to make a pitching change. We bring in Marinaccio just because we weren't sure how the ninth was going to go on the road, so he needed to pitch. And I'm like, hey, man, how you doing? He's like, yeah, doing good. Say, nice to meet you, Cobb. And so I'd met him in instructional league. But anyway, point being is those are the future of our organization, and also going to encourage, and I'm sure they'll do it, some of our players on the big league side to go down, and that's really where the real wisdom takes place.
For
when,
sure.
Peers, work with peers. But it's good to hear and help grow these guys. Like I alluded to earlier, our own experiences, but other people's experiences, mentioned about Hoffy and using him as a resource. But we got to use our resources to grow these young players so they can, when they get here, they're ready.
On an aside, I don't know if I told you this. I did go to North Carolina about a year and a half ago. It'll shock you where I went. Pinehurst.
But
it was
what was that
beautiful.
for? A fishing tournament?
Exactly.
Barbecue. I know you're maybe a
you told me you'll go out for 9 holes by yourself every once in a while,
yes,
and it is. You got some beautiful golfing country out there as well in North Carolina. But I I was really impressed just driving through and the trees and everything. It's a gorgeous state of North Carolina.
It really is a pretty state. I'm very biased. Born and raised there. Didn't go back as much because of my responsibilities, but also San Diego pulls at you.
It does. It's tough. It's tough to
tough.
leave. And
man, I love it.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
It's such a great place to come back from. Anywhere you go, it doesn't matter. When you come back home, you're like, oh my God, look where I'm landing. It's like being on vacation again.
Where do you go?
I know,
I guess some
right?
people go to Hawaii. I can
we
get
did.
that. Yep,
we did.
But
And it's different, but you love coming home every single time. I mean, a lot of people flying back to their hometown and like, I got to land in Detroit, and it was great being on vacation.
Detroit,
Nothing against Detroit, but you know what I'm saying.
Nothing against Detroit.
Not a thing against Detroit.
Motor City.
The Motor City. Shildt, thank you for jumping on with us. Really appreciate it. Kind of saved our butts this
Have you ever been in a fishing tournament, by the way?
You know what? I have not, but
Okay.
I plan on in the future. You know what I do? I like to be in the water.
On the water.
I just like to be on the water.
Me too.
I just enjoy the water. It's one of the many things I love about San Diego. But
Has Don Orsillo invited you out on his new little boat?
me and Don are actually pretty close to. We were in the same area.
Okay.
I want to say we're neighbors,
Yeah,
but we're in
but
the same
close enough,
Same
yeah.
community. And I'm super excited. Don got the extension.
Uh-huh.
Voice of the Padres for a long time. Does a great job. I love the legacy part that Don's creating. But the answer's no.
No,
The answer's no.
Well, it's tough.
Not yet.
To get, Mudd has only been invited to Donatangelo's for dinner once. I mean, he's definitely tough. Is a tough nut to crack, that Don Orsillo. He's only come on our show twice.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
In, has 6-7 years. So.
I don't think he likes people very much. So that's my guess.
I think Don's the man of the
He's
people.
amazing, though. He is.
I think it's just certain
He's the most
people.
loved person
Could
in
be-
San Diego. I mean,
It could be.
we're
yeah,
all
could be certain
battling for
people.
second place here, Mike,
Yeah,
because
on the
Don's
media
already
side,
got
for
first place
sure.
wrapped up.
Yeah, for sure. He's amazing.
He's something else.
If we could
Somebody
just
in,
get rid of Mudd, we'll all be in great shape.
somebody in the chat said
I love
heels,
Mud.
heels or Duke.
Oh,
You know what?
or NC State.
Well, we're 0 for 3. My family's from Maryland.
Oh, okay.
So my dad's from Baltimore, mom's from Eastern Shore, Maryland. I was born in Charlotte, but grew up a Terrapin fan.
Oh, nice.
Back when the ACC was the ACC, 8 teams, and went at it. So I had to learn to really scratch and claw being a Terrapin fan and near Tobacco Road.
Yeah, I bet.
But now Maryland's gone out of that ACC. If I had a choice between Carolina and Duke, I've got the privilege to get to know Coach Krzyzewski and admire the Duke program. Not that I haven't the Carolina program, but push come to shove, I'll take the Blue Devils.
Blue Devils.
Who's your favorite coach? Manager, coach, somebody that you look
Any
up
sport,
to.
yeah.
Any sport,
Krzyzewski's a good one.
Yeah,
he is-
Krzyzewski's really good
he's
one.
really good.
Yeah, I mean, I saw him the other day after the White Sox game over in Glendale. But Tony La Russa, he's my guy.
That's your guy.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I was worked, around him and under him for a long time. He still mentors me. He was it's interesting, at least to me. So I got the mic in my hand.
It's yours.
So I'll share it.
It's your show.
So I'm sitting there at the game. People are, hey, kids are like wanting an autograph, which is always humbling. And I'm standing next to Tony La Russa, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not signing this. Do you know who this guy is?
Yeah.
This guy's won the second most games in the history of Major League Baseball. So if he signs, I'll sign.
Yeah.
But not until. So it's really cool.
What made him so great as a manager?
He was curiosity.
Yep.
Really smart, but wanted to always know a best practice, know what you know. He had real courage. He'd tell me, don't manage don't manage with your gut, don't cover your butt.
We talk about that a lot on our show. We have mentioned before that you do see sometimes, or at least our perception, which is often wrong. But you see maybe a GM make a move or a manager that does something that he says, well, if anybody asks me about this, I can certainly justify that behavior. It's got to be hard sometimes to go full, or is it easier to just go, you know what? I know this. Like, I know what I'm doing. I know these guys. I looked them in the eye earlier. The numbers may not say it. You think about the movie Major League,
right,
and they're like, you're going with Vaughn because something tells me he's due, right?
Yeah.
Making a move like that, not to cover your butt sometimes, has got to be a difficult choice.
Yeah, I mean, this is a longer conversation. I don't know how much time you got, but I'll try to give the Reader's Digest version. couple things. First, with Tony, I've been with him after games, 2011 year, but for years, and I'd go to dinner with him after a game, and a move would happen in the game, and the media would be up in arms, double switch, whatever it was, and he'd be eating dinner like, yeah, I felt great about it. Didn't bother him at all. He knew it was the right move.
Yeah,
I've also been with him where something happened that he felt like he missed something, and whether it be super minute, he was really, really hard on himself. And nobody picked up on it. No had any clue
that
it was a thing. And he would beat himself up. Like, I can't miss that right there. And he So, just really appreciated that his lens of what that looks like. As far as the criticisms go, that's part of the territory, clearly. One thing that he shared with me when I was managing AA, and we did have he said, do you have a beat guy? Oh, yeah, we do actually in Springfield. And he says, he asks you the tough questions. I'm like, yeah, he does, And he goes, well, you should be grateful for that because it gives you a chance to explain yourself.
Sure.
And so I've always looked at that. Thought it was good advice, relative to, the trust in your gut that, some of the decisions you make, and I don't want to, I can give you specifics, but not necessary. You're doing it to prove you believe in your player.
Yeah.
And it's and yeah, that game in that moment, and every game's important, and I get it. And there's 162 of them. And, we got to do everything we can in our power to compete and win, to look to win all of them. But there is an opportunity where, you might end up giving an opportunity and, there's a chance that you might lose that battle. But if that player can, A, know you believe in him, B, have the success in that moment, you got a real big chance to win that war.
That's great stuff.
Mike, I really appreciate it. And, just from my perspective, obviously in this job, we always second guess every once in a while. Very little, actually, but even a couple times last year. And I will say, I always know that you've got a reason for what you're doing.
Sure.
I fully believe that 100%, even if, occasionally fans are going to disagree. There's no doubt in my mind. There's a reason and a good reason for why you do what you do in that dugout.
Yeah, there's a reason for it. And again, there's days where I don't, I'm like, gosh, darn it, man. Could have done that different. That's the human factor. Hopefully don't have many of those moments, or you don't have a job.
So many moments are 50-50 anyway. They both worked out. They both didn't work out.
It just changes our proposition. Yeah. And, listen, as far as the second guessing, heck, man, Whitey Herzog would say, the beautiful thing about baseball is there's a relationship to it that almost everybody has, whether it's baseball, softball, sitting at a game, have an opinion. And it's really one of the best parts of our game. So I appreciate, because that grows our game, right? When people question and that's okay, It's a big, it's a big boy game.
That hindsight machine, though, it never misses.
It's amazing.
It never misses. It's amazing. It's like crystal clear.
It's fantastic, and I just really appreciate the fact that people know exactly everything that I know.
What should have done
to make an informed decision.
That's exactly right.
With human beings. But hey, it's a wonderful gig, and I'm blessed to have it.
We're out of your hair for at least the next 3.5 weeks.
You guys are really cool. I like it.
I know I give you a hard time. Spring training. We'll see you when you get back.
All right, safe travel.
Mike Shildt really saving our butts out here on a very quiet day in Peoria, Arizona. But that's good. That's good. That's good. All right. Yeah, the ground crew. We actually thought about bringing one of them on, but we weren't sure if they'd be willing to talk to us. We're going to take time out, get caught up. We are going to have Tyler Heaps on, the GM from SDFC, about their big day coming up tomorrow. So stay tuned. More Ben and Woods from Peoria, Arizona on 97.3 The Fan after traffic. Thanks again to Mike Shildt, manager of the Padres. A second visit here on our trip to Peoria, Arizona. Filling a little time for us on the back patio. We rudely interrupted Paulie's Roundel report. And now we really don't have a lot of time for it because we got Tyler Heaps calling in just a couple of minutes. So Frankie's helped us out. We're going to do a super sped up version of the Roundel report right now.
All right, let's go.
And getting started here with our today's edition of the Roundel report.
Welcome to the Roundel Report with Paul Roundel. Hi, Paul. All right, 2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
Start off Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Roundel Rapid Yachts.
It's the Roundel Report.
Okay, how are you?
On 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help.
Can I get a yeah?
All right.
That is
All right.
way
All right.
faster.
There we go.
Okay, I'm good to go.
All right, let's pick up where we left off.
We have time for one story. You guys want football or fun?
Fun.
Fun.
Always
All
fun.
right.
I guess I don't get a vote, but that's fine.
Ben says Lakers. Wasn't an option. So I saw this. I think pretty comfortable in saying most people probably have Amazon Alexa devices at this point,
Sure.
or at least familiar with them. I have like 3 in my house, and I don't really use it.
But my kids do. I don't.
We have some smart technology where hey, Alexa, turn on the light or something. Hey, Alexa, do this. But I don't utilize it a ton. I haven't found it to be that great. However, Amazon is officially, they just announced a new edition of Alexa coming out. It's called Alexa Plus.
Sexier version.
Yes. Maybe. So this has been kind of rumored for a while now, and Apple or Amazon officially announced Alexa Plus, and it's supposed to be more of an actual virtual assistant, not so much, hey Alexa, what's the weather going to be like today? But like can actually help you with things, which in theory sounds pretty exciting, kind of cool.
Hey Alexa, text Adam Klug.
I think they'll be able to do that.
To leave me alone.
She could probably do that. You can use Alexa to make dinner reservations at a restaurant. Hey, Alexa, book us a table at this place for 7 o'clock. Hey, Alexa, order my groceries. Hey, Alexa, I need you to book an Uber for me. Hey, Alexa, can you text Adam Klug?
I'm texting Adam Klug as we speak.
You can buy some stuff on Amazon, of course. It says you can like snag concert tickets as soon as they hit Ticketmaster.
Now, so you don't have to refresh and do that. They can actually get them for you.
I will believe that one when
so
I see it.
they want it to be a virtual assistant, which, again, in theory, sounds like a pretty cool, useful tool, but I'm just not sure how that's going to go. So they're going to roll it out to just a few people initially, and that was in March. So next month, they're going to roll it out, and then everyone else will get it gradually over the next few months. If you have Amazon Prime, this will be a free feature. Everybody else that doesn't have Amazon Prime, you're going to pay $20 a month.
But that could be a deal because Colonel Budget's thinking here, hey, Alexa, find me the absolute lowest price for whatever I'm looking for. You know, whether it's a grocery, a ticket,
shoes,
a flight
haircut.
somewhere. Yeah.
Says here,
order me the lowest price possible for this.
Alexa Plus will remember things. You can tell her that your family is coming to town for dinner, and she might say, hey, don't forget your nephew is gluten-free.
Ooh.
It says she's proactive in other things, telling you to leave early because of traffic. It's like supposed to be interacting with a virtual assistant.
It's not too shabby.
Not bad.
I got Prime, so that means, but I don't know that I'll be one of the test subjects.
No, but you'll get it in a couple of months.
My kids actually use it a lot. They sit around the kitchen table and when they're working on their workbooks and stuff. And hey Alexa, how do you spell this? And Alexa will tell them, and they listen and write it down.
Somebody asked when Amazon announced this, they said that she can also browse the internet and complete tasks for you. The example that they give was getting an appliance fix. She'll find a repair place, set up an appointment,
perfect,
and add it to your Google your calendar all on her own.
That's pretty amazing. Which can she drive home from Arizona for me today?
Are you going to make Paulie drive?
I don't want to get another. I don't want to get another ticket.
You want Paulie to get one?
Yes. More than me.
Thank you, Paulie. We got to take a break because when we come back, Tyler Heaps, the general manager, sporting director of San Diego FC, going to check in a few minutes before their home opener tomorrow. All next, final segment of Ben Woods on 97.3 The Final segment of Ben and Woods, and we're going to start right off by going out to our phone lines. I can't tell you how much I got into Sunday's game. I wasn't sure, obviously, and had never watched a San Diego FC game before, and how exciting it was. And as the game was going on and they scored the first goal, and like, okay, this is really, really cool, and winning 2-0. And joining us right now. 2-0, right?
on.
Sorry.
God,
joining us right now is
the
sporting director and general manager of San Diego FC, Tyler Heaps, with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. Tyler, congratulations on that remarkable debut.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me and appreciate you guys tuning in. Hopefully we can make you guys fans and getting the right terminology for the many weeks ahead.
Let me apologize for my co-host. He's not really well-versed in sports, Tyler. That's probably the biggest knock against Ben Higgins, longtime sports director.
I thought the 2 points they scored in that game were fantastic.
We got 3 points for the win on 2 goals. It really was. We had the whole family kind of huddled around the kitchen table. We couldn't figure out how to cast it, but that's not a you thing. That's an us thing. But we had the whole family huddled around the table watching, and all of us just screaming when Larson pumped in that second goal. It was quite a debut.
Yeah, no, it was an exciting moment. Obviously, I think not only for the club, but also the city of San Diego. I think it's been kind of a long time coming to make sure they could get an MLS franchise. And I know we've been talking, I know we've been in the media, but now the fact the lights are on and we get out to go out and show what we are all about. And look, it will be a roller coaster of a season. We're an expansion side. We were strangers 6 months ago. But it was really cool to see the support of the fan base that came out, but also the team and the players in the field. I think they really have bought into what we're trying to do and went out and executed fantastically.
So, Tyler, let me ask you, what did the soccer pundits, so-called experts, miss? Because they had you as big underdogs in that game, and even if you won, something crazy happened. They didn't think that SDFC would dominate kind of the run of play the way they did against the defending champions. What did everybody miss, at least in the early going, about your team?
There's probably 2 things that I think people are selling about our organization. First and foremost, I think we have players that not a lot of people know in this country, and that sometimes is looked at negatively. We've went out and obviously brought in. We have a very diverse team. We have people from all countries and continents, and obviously we brought them together. And also our style of player, the way that we play, is more about collective than the individual. So we do have some very, very good individuals. Obviously, Anders Dreyer had a brace on Sunday, and he's probably one of our top players, as well as Irving Lozano, who everybody knows. But our way of playing is about the collective. So making sure that we don't just isolate. We're not in 1v1 situations. How do we get more guys around the ball? How do we overload in situations? And so I think that a lot of people are going to see that and hopefully grasp that very quickly. And I think it's probably why a lot of people are underselling us. And then the last reason is that expansion is hard. There's been a lot of cases in this where you have to get your team up and running really quickly. And if you don't really have a way of working or a process-driven approach, sometimes it can be very difficult to get an expansion franchise off the ground.
You know, and Tyler, we're talking to Tyler Heaps, who's the GM of SDFC, and I was scrolling through Twitter yesterday, and this caught my attention. Now we've talked to Padres general manager AJ Preller multiple times, follow the game of baseball pretty intently, getting into the MLS as it has arrived in San Diego. So I see this tweet come across, and I read it. And I went, oh, man, it's going to take me a while. I'm going to read it for you and for the listening audience. Here's what it says. San Diego FC selected the 2 DP spots plus 4 U22 initiative spots plus $2 million extra GAM model. SDFC can still choose to switch to 3 DPs plus 3 U22 model midseason in summer transfer window.
Does that come with a 60-day warranty?
And I said, I said, I thought AJ Preller's job was difficult, right? There's no salary cap in baseball. Like, they can pretty much do what they want if they've got the money to spend. I read that yesterday. I go, I may not ever understand. I still don't know how a deductible works for insurance. So I don't know that I'm ever going to grasp what your job is. Can you explain just to the moron that I am, like, what does that even mean? What are we talking about here?
The best way I can explain it is it's pure insanity. Honestly, and they'll probably change it in the next 3 weeks too. That's probably the most challenging part about this. And obviously, I'm American and I was born in Minnesota, but then I moved and went to Europe. And Europe is similar probably to baseball. You can kind of spend what you want. Whatever your owner is willing to spend, you can kind of spend as long as you have the money. And in this league, obviously, it's there are a lot of rules, but they don't call them rules; they call them guidelines. So there's so many different ways and nuances that you can build a roster. And we've went about it one way, and to your point with that tweet that you're reading. But I think what we've also done is we've allowed ourselves a lot of flexibility. We're not up against the quote unquote cap at the moment because we are a new team. And I was looking at a whiteboard and us on a whiteboard trying to figure out how the hell we're going to play. And now the fact that we're actually out there playing games is really exciting because now we can start to make moves that make us better. And we can actually strategize about, okay, where are our strengths and weaknesses that we think we have. So I think what I would take from that tweet is that we have ultimate flexibility to still go out and do things. We could still acquire players this window. I think we still may have one or two pieces still coming. And then in the summer, we could obviously go out and improve the squad even more. But I think we're quite happy with where we are currently. We've got a good group of players in. We've got good balance between young players and old players, players with experience and those that don't. And now it's about going out and performing again on Saturday and trying to build off the momentum.
Tyler, I was blown away by the visiting supporters section up in Carson on Sunday. Now multiply that by about 35,000 or so expected tomorrow night. What are you thinking about the atmosphere for this game tomorrow?
I think it's going to be special. It was amazing to see that. I mean, we came out of the locker room and that whole section was already filled. And Mikey and I have kind of seen and felt the support. When we didn't have any players, we were kind of getting pimped out and had to go around town and meet with the supporters group. So I'm glad that now it's the players doing that because they are the ones that obviously go out and perform week in and week out. But I'm really excited for tomorrow night. I think it's going to be an incredible moment for the club, for the city, for the organization and the ownership group who's all in town. And I think it could be a really, really special moment. This season is going to be filled with firsts. This is probably one of the best firsts that we can ask for, right? And it's just about going and putting on a show and making sure that those people come back week in and week out and we make it a fortress to come here.
That's awesome. We're joined by the GM of SDFC, Tyler Heaves. Great story that has come out recently. You got married in December to U.S. soccer star Lindsey Haram, and there was some consternation about changing of the last name to Lindsey Heaves. Can you tell our audience that story and how that all played out?
Yeah, look, it's a tough one. She's grown. She's one of the best women's footballers in the world. She was 5th in the Ballon d'Or rankings, which is essentially the best female player in the world this past season. She has won every competition she's ever played in. On our mantle, we have a gold medal. We have a World Cup. We have a few participation trophies of mine whenever I played growing up. And so when we got married, obviously, like, she has a brand. She has a very big brand. She's got over 400,000 followers and things like this. And so I never thought it was my position to push anything. So I kind of just kept quiet. We had talked about it, and she was like, yeah, I'm going to change my name. But I never really pushed it on the jersey front. And so she went back, obviously, to Lyon, where she plays in France, and she didn't change it on that jersey straight away. And then when I saw the national team roster get released, it was now Lindsey Heaves on the national team roster. So it was pretty amazing. She wore it for the first game whenever they were in Houston. And then when I showed up the next day in my office, she had one of our employees frame one of the jerseys. And so I got it with our wedding pictures in my office now, the 10 Heaps kid. And look, growing up, I always dreamed that there would be a 10 Heaps national team jersey. I thought it would be one that I was playing for, but I think I got the next best thing. And it's a credit to her. And she obviously played at Snapdragon the other night. So it's great. I got to see her for a few hours and remember what marriage is like. As we separated we went our separate ways after the wedding, but she's been smashing it, crushing it, and obviously it's a really cool moment for the both of us.
Well, that must be nice for you. Maybe my wife will surprise me with the name change one day because my wife is still using the dash in between them. But that's a really, really cool and sweet story.
Well, good luck tomorrow. We really appreciate your time, and I think it's only fair. Tyler Haran, the general manager of San Diego FC. I mean, you could have changed your name, right?
That is much better, to be honest. I should have grown my brand. My brand is much smaller than hers, but hopefully it continues to grow in the years to come. But thanks for having me, guys. Thanks for your support. Looking forward to getting you guys out to a game in the training ground soon.
Thanks, Tyler. Looking forward to it. SDFC against St. Louis City FC. It's pretty much sold out. I heard there are like a couple of tickets left if you want to try to get down there and join the fun
ain't gonna be
tomorrow night. But hey, yeah, they deserve it. They get this kind of buzz going. Hey, you're going to have to pay to get in for history. I mean, there's only one first game ever.
Manny Machado will be there.
Can you imagine? Let's check traffic. And then I want to come up with a scenario here before we go here in Peoria. But one last check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. I was just saying, think if you could go back in time and be at the first Padres game, 1969 against the Houston Astros, and say, hey, I was actually there, to start the history of a franchise. It's your opportunity tomorrow for SDFC to be there at the first home game ever. It's pretty cool in franchise history.
The scene down there is going to be absolutely bananas. I mean, it's going to be bananas. I look forward to opening day every year. It's so much fun. We do the broadcast, but that's different. They've been around for a long time, and to have a team that comes off beating the defending champions, and now they're in your city, it's really, really a special day for San Diego, one that should be celebrated. And I was happy to talk to Tyler today and look forward to talking to him more. I mean, I read through a couple of these tweets about what is, how they're building this roster. It is like hieroglyphics.
Yeah,
man.
it's a combination. So like that U22, you have underage 22 players, and they count differently.
What is DP?
So those are the designated players. Those are outside the salary cap. Imagine like if you could pay Manny and Bogarts, but it didn't count against your luxury tax. That's what they do for Irving Lozano and Andres Dreyer. They're outside of the salary cap. So those are your designated players. So everyone else, you got to fit in under the salary cap. So you got homegrown players, though, and under 22, they count less. Yeah. And then you've got a certain amount to work with, and you can trade for money. That's part of the, like you can trade for certain allotments from other teams to add to your budget. It's very complicated.
It's very complicated. It's very busy.
But, the NBA salary cap is so complicated.
Yeah, 100%.
This is what happens in sports with strict salary caps is you get really, really technical rules about what is and is not allowed. And, baseball's players are trying to avoid that. They don't want GMs to have to worry about these technical rules. They just want to say, hey, you know what? All right, we can just spend a couple $1 million.
But imagine
more.
Imagine sending Manny to play a series in Miami. On loan.
On loan to the Marlins.
Can we borrow? Can we get could we get Tyler Glass now for a start? We may need him against the D-backs.
Imagine Fernando Tatis Jr. changing his name, one of the best players in the world,
right?
And getting married and changing his name. I mean,
Crazy.
That's pretty crazy story.
That's awesome.
So anyway, it's been a fantastic week. We have a lot of people to thank to just getting out here. I want to start with the person to my right,
Paulie Reindl.
It's not easy setting up the equipment every single day. Everything that goes on. Did a fantastic job. Frank Marchese back in our studios. Italian Paul killing it the last 3 days. Thanks for getting us on the air. The entire staff here at the Peoria Sports Complex, Greg Huner, Danny Sanchez, Darren Feeney, with the PR department, always making us feel very welcome. All the players, Mike Shildt staff and coaches, AJ Preller. Thank you very much. For Stephen Woods, I'm Ben Higgins. We'll talk to you Monday morning at 6 a.m.
Yeah, buddy.
Annie and Elston next year on 97.3 The Fan.